The New York Yankees of '98. Joe Torre has added to his arsenal in Chuck Knobloch and Chili Davis. Out west, the Angels added Big Daddy Cecil Fielder to slugger Jim Salmon and Gold Glove winner Jim Edmonds in center field. Last night, Anaheim won the old-fashioned way, pitching and defense. It's the Yankees and Angels next on Baseball Thursday. Welcome to New Edison International Field of Anaheim, where tonight it's Major League Baseball on Fox Sports Net with the New York Yankees in town, set to battle the Anaheim Angels. Edison International Field was designed to combine the classic traditions of baseball with a Southern California field, and it is a masterpiece. And hi, everybody. I'm Steve Physiak. This is Steve Lyons. The Angels are very excited about this new ballpark, going with the talents of Salmon, Anderson, and Edmonds in their outfield. But they know to win the West, they've got to get it from the other guys like Norberto Martin and Matt Wahlbeck. And
they got help from those guys in last night's ball game, filling in for Todd Green and Randy Velarde. Wahlbeck got a couple hits, threw out a couple would-be base stealers, and tonight it's Phil Nevins going to fill in as a catcher. Only his 7th game he's ever caught in the history of his career. He's a little apprehensive back there, but they think he can get the job done.
He might be apprehensive because the team he's going up against, the New York Yankees, are flat loaded.
Well, I know you remember the 27 Yankees in Murderers Row. I was too young. But the guys of the 90s, it's the same thing. You got Knobloch right at the top of the order, followed by Jeter. You got Martinez, O'Neill, Chili Davis. These guys just never quit. And if you have a bad day as a pitcher, you're going to get a quick shower.
And they have pitching as well. And they'll send left-hander David Wells, won 16 games last year against Ken Hill, who was hot to end 1997. Also on display, a couple of old-timers against old teams. It's next on Fox Sports Net. Ready for Game 2 of this 1998 season, and it features the New York Yankees and the Anaheim Angels. And the first pitch by Ken Hill to Chuck Knobloch is strike one. The Angels beat the Yankees last night 4-1. Chuck Finley getting the win. Troy Percival the save. And Matt Wahlbeck was one of the stars both offensively and defensively. Hill comes up and in and throws strike two, but Terry Collins, his skipper, says Ken Hill, to be successful, has to be down in the strike zone around the knees with that forkball and the slider. He's ahead 0-2, so we may see that forkball or the slider right here, and Knobloch calls time as Phil Nevin had flashed the first sign. Ken Hill said no, and Knobloch did not like it, so he steps out. The 0-2 right there with the fastball, and Knobloch takes it strike three. Hill was shaking off the off-speed pitches to go with the heater right at the knees. Well, Ken Hill will face this New York Yankee lineup tonight. Chuck Knobloch has hit 400 in his career against Ken Hill. Derek Jeter had a great spring. Power with 5 home runs. Bernie Williams 3 for 4 last night. Tina Martinez had a hit, but the bottom of that order was empty. Strawberry in tonight for Chad Curtis.
Terry Collins definitely wants Kenny Hill to work down in the zone. He wants him to get ahead in the count. That's where he can go to that split finger. What Hill did right there to Knobloch was not show him all his pitches. Knobloch wants to go up there in his first at-bat, work the count to a full count, and see all the pitches he can see. He saw 3 straight fastballs and sat down.
And Ken Hill last year 9-12. He struggled with Texas, went 4-4 with an earned run average of 3.5 here with Anaheim, and it was Marcel Latchman, the pitching coach, that spotted a flaw in Ken Hill's delivery and straightened it out.
I think people have to understand that Kenny Hill has been one of those guys. He's been the hired gun. Every time that he plays for a team late in the year when they fall out of contention, he's the guy that they always talk about trading to another team. He's done that 3 or 4 times in his career. Now that he's signed a new deal with the Angels, I think he's going to be a lot more comfortable.
And it is a 3-year deal for $16 million. He opted to go free agency as the season ended in 1997. Then the Angels said, you know, we want you bad enough. And Ken Hill said, I want to play there. Enjoyed my stay. There's a flare to right center field. It will drop for a hit. Derek Jeter around first base will hold with a single. Well, Anaheim defensively has great strength in the outfield. Anderson, Edmonds, Salmon, all with terrific arms. But Phil Nevin only making his 6th career start as a catcher. 4 in 96, 1 in 97. And wasn't he the personal catcher for one Todd Van Poppel?
Yeah, he said that was a strange thing. All Van Poppel did was throw hard fastballs, so he didn't really teach you a whole lot about catching, but he did teach you about being active back there because it was hard to catch everything he threw up there.
Well, Terry Collins had warned Phil Nevin that they may need him in December, and he was talking about Todd Green, who is expected to be the starting catcher. And Terry Collins knew that Green was coming off a shoulder surgery. They had traded for Nevin and Wallback from Detroit, and both of them are starting the season as catchers. Wallback had a great game last night catching Chuck Finley, and Nevin was Ken Hill's personal catcher in spring training, and Ken pitched quite well.
You know, he got a lot of work, Nevin did, in spring training because of the injury to Todd Green, or else there's no way he'd be sitting back there. There's Matt Wallback, who had a nice night last night with 2 hits, threw out a couple base stealers. You're going to see the Yankees run against Nevin. He's got a great arm. It's going to be how well he handles his footwork and how well he receives the pitch as to whether or not he can throw people out.
Jeter goes, the pitch taken. There's the throw, and it is not in time. But a quick toss by Phil Nevin, making it a close play.
Let's take another look at Nevin's footwork. Pretty good. He stays down crouch, a real quick movement towards the ball. He's got a strong arm. This throw, right on the money. But you got Derek Jeter running. The guy's going to steal some bases, and they're going to test him all night. But I'll tell you what, first opportunity so far in 98. I really like the mechanics back there from Phil Nevin.
Jeter stole 23 bases last year. Now Paul O'Neill, who was the best hitter in baseball last season with runners in scoring position, hitting .428. And he takes strike 2 from Ken Hill. .428 as Paul O'Neill had his best, most productive offensive season, hitting .324 with 21 home runs and 117 RBIs. Well, there's a fat one sitting at second base in Derek Jeter. O'Neill takes barely inside. Ooh, Nevin wanted that one, and so did Ken Hill.
Paul O'Neill's done nothing but get better since he came to the Yankees. He used to be a dead pull hitter when he played in Cincinnati, and he was afraid that he'd become so much of a pull hitter playing in Yankee Stadium. But he said the best thing that happened to him is everyone throws him away. So he said, I got to be a much better opposite field hitter because that's all I ever saw.
Hill stays low. The count is full 3-2. If he walks O'Neill, it does not get any easier because Bernie Williams will follow, and then Tino Martinez. And combined, those guys hit 241 RBIs last year.
Unbelievable numbers from that Yankee offense last year. And as you said, it's like a nightmare, and it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Jeter at second. Hill brings the 3-2. O'Neill pulls it foul. And New York last year won 96 games, finishing 2 games behind the Baltimore Orioles for first place in the American League East. They lost to Cleveland in really a classic matchup in the division playoff in 5 games. And Joe Torre,
he's bored with it all already.
He was the 96 manager of the year along with Johnny Oates at Texas as they beat the Atlanta Braves in the World Championship.
It's going to be a long year, Joe. Pace yourself.
He's getting the yawns out of the way in April. Well, he had to deal with George Steinbrenner all season long in the offseason. That could wear you out.
Yes, it can.
Hill brings it, and O'Neill rips it. Boy, he was on that inside pitch.
You got to be impressed with the way O'Neill has approached this at bat after he got to 2 strikes, a 3-2 count. You can see where he hits the ball. He goes to left field 66 times, more than at any other place. He hits the ball up the middle 52 times, to right field 54. That's a pretty good balance, but it shows you how a guy who used to be a dead pull hitter has made himself a much better hitter by going the other way. And he's saved himself on 2 pitches here with 2 strikes that he's kept himself alive.
And Hill misses down low and away, ball 4. So New York has runners on first and second base, just 1 out here in the first inning. And here comes Bernie Williams. Ken Hill was one of the top pitchers in baseball in 1996 when he finished in the American League top 10 in victories, earned run average, strikeouts, innings pitched, complete games. Only Cy Young Award winner Pat Hentgen and Alex Fernandez joined him in those awards. He won 16 games for the third time in 1996 and only won 9 last year, but he had some injury problems and mechanical problems as well. And he wants no difficulty with this man. Bernie Williams, strike one.
Kenny's had some trouble in the past with his mechanics, and as I mentioned before, with confidence. I mean, he's always been a top-notch pitcher, but always one of those guys that gets traded at the end of a year to a new ball club because they want to make a stretch run. And not only does that put a lot of pressure on you to come in and do a good job. Last year was the same situation, struggled all year with Texas. They thought he was a good prospect as far as someone that could help him out. They bring him here. He does a pretty good job, but then he's thinking he's going to be somewhere else the next year.
Well, they love the man you just saw in your picture, Marcel Latchman. Latch took him aside and took 2 videotapes side by side of his old delivery and the one from '96. And he said, look at your front shoulder. He was opening it up too soon, and his ball was up in the strike zone. Latch got him to close it down, and the ball stayed around the knees, and he started making outs with Anaheim. Right there, 1 and 2, 94 miles an hour, that last fastball.
I just think there's 2 things that make the ball rise in the zone, and one of them is if you fly open with that front shoulder, you got to drive your front shoulder towards the place where you're trying to throw the ball, right towards your catcher. If you open up, the ball's going to go up in the zone, and the other is when you start to get tired, then the ball starts to rise in the zone, and that's when it gets hammered.
He needs to keep it down here. The 1-2. He kept it up. It's ripped to center, but right at Jim Edmonds. And getting doubled off second base is Derek Jeter. And the Angels are out of the jam in the first inning. Jimmo Edmonds gets his first assist of 1998. With you at Edison International Field of Anaheim, a scoreless game with the Yankees and Angels. Let's check out the lineup that Terry Collins took to home plate. He will lead things off with first baseman Darren Erstad. Batting second is Jim Edmonds and then Dave Hollins. Salmon, Fielder, Anderson, Nevin, Martin, DiCercina. And you see what Salmon has done against Wells and Fielder as well. 8 hits by Cecil Fielder. 4 have left the yard.
And David Wells on the hill, 16 and 10 in '97. This is a guy that has a fastball, curve, change, and a slider. Pretty good slider to lefties. And I talked to him before the game. He says, you know me, I'm not trying to fool anybody. I'm going to throw the ball over the plate. I hope they swing and miss, and I hope they hit a lot of ground balls.
Only 45 walks in 218 innings. That is very good control. He has a great arm. Last time he pitched, though, was in San Diego, the final exhibition game. That's where he's from. Yeah. He had too many friends there.
He got rocked.
Joe Torre said he was awful.
He said, you know, nobody hit any ground balls then.
Well, he was overthrowing, and you can talk about that, Steve. He was all pumped up, and when he is tired or not throwing it 91, 92, but dropping down 88, 89, his ball moves more.
Yeah, he gets much better movement. Some guys, when they overthrow, they try to throw the ball too hard. It straightens out on them. Some guys, Greg Hibbard used to say all the time, hey, if I throw higher than 82, I'm in trouble.
Well, there's a 74-mile-an-hour curveball to Darren Erstad, a talented young 23-year-old player from North Dakota. Hit .299 in his first full professional season last year, and 16 home runs, 77 driven in. He would have scored 100 runs if not for a late season injury. He has a wicked swing and fouls it back. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
What an athlete this kid is. They are just, the sky is the limit for him. He continues to get better. Nobody on his team works harder than he does. And I'll tell you, it's becoming increasingly more difficult to find a guy that has tremendous talent and is willing to work hard at it.
This is one of those. And he chops a breaking ball to the second baseman, Chuck Knobloch, and the former Minnesota Twin throws him out, 1 down. New York is really solid defensively because of that young man, Chuck Knobloch, one of the finest defensive second basemen in the history of the major leagues. You've got Scott Brocious, outstanding at third. Derek Jeter can throw at the best of them at short. Tino Martinez, solid at first base, and then Strawberry, Williams, and O'Neill. Williams is the flyer. Girardi calls a game as well as any catcher in the American League. Girardi, Dan Wilson, Ivan Rodriguez, those guys can flat receive. Here's Jim Edmonds, and he goes after the high fastball from David Wells. Strike one.
Well, that's a pretty swing even when he misses the ball.
Wells stays up high, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Had a chance to sit down and talk to Jimmy about last year and the human highlight reel that he ended up becoming, and I kind of posed the question to him, if you weren't so banged up, you probably would have made those plays a lot easier. And he said, you know, I never thought about it that way, but I think you're right. He would have gotten to a lot of those balls a step quicker. He wouldn't have had to dive and bang himself up even more as the season went on. But I'll tell you what, the way it worked out for him was a lot of fun for a lot of people to see.
Well, the last 2 years, he's had an ab problem, groin problem, thumb, shoulders, knees, back. It's behind the count 1-2. And again, Wells working upstairs to Edmonds. And Edmonds, not a bad high ball hitter, and that is unusual for a lefty.
Lefties generally like the ball down. Edmonds, Garrett Anderson's another guy in this club that doesn't mind seeing the ball up. They're able to get their hands on top of the ball. That's what makes a good hitter.
Edmonds pops it foul. It will be out of play, and the count will stay at 2 balls and 2 strikes. But Jim Edmonds always has been a great athlete, and he faces David Wells, a guy who has extreme talent. But Joe Torre talks about his lack of concentration at times.
Torre gets mad at him. There's a scouting report on Wells. He throws his breaking ball for strikes, and when he does that, it makes it very difficult on hitters because he keeps you off balance. He's got to get left-handers out because he's left-handed, and you have to go strong against the lefties. And focus is a big problem for him. He goes off into the ozone occasionally during a game, loses his concentration, and he'll have one bad inning that kills him.
Steve, left-handers hit .327 off David last year. Why?
Just for those reasons. He leaves his fastball out over the plate more often than either getting it in, and he loves to pitch in, but for some reason he's unable to do that as consistently against the left-handers as he is the right-handers. Loves to pitch inside, and you love a guy that has that kind of courage and that kind of guts that's not afraid to go up under your chin, but for some reason against lefties you've seen him work against Edmonds away.
And Jim goes away, knocks the ball to Jeter, and 2 outs. Edmonds really running hard, made it a close play. 2 gone. So David Wells, the last time he faced the Angels here in Anaheim, he was ripped for his worst performance of '97 when he gave up 11 runs on August 19th. And that was the game that Chuck Finley broke his left wrist. And that really dashed the Angels' chances of catching the Seattle Mariners in the American League West. Here is Dave Holland. Solid year last year despite knee problems. And there's a fastball, strike 1.
If I'm not mistaken, they were in first place at that time. Finley goes down, Green goes down the next day. Then the whole problems that they had as far as distraction with the Tony Phillips situation, and the team went through the floor again.
Hollins takes the breaking ball. You're right, Steve. The Angels were 66-50 with a half-game lead on Seattle. Phillips gets arrested. Finley, Green go down. Anaheim went 18-28 the rest of the way. But those are your 2 big horses. I mean, Green hit 9 home runs in the stretch, and Finley had won 10 in a row. Ball popped foul. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Certain teams at a certain point in the season, late in the year when you get into those dog days, they need a guy that gets called up from the minor leagues, a spark to get more excitement going. And Todd Green was that spark for this team. And you could feel that this team was going to be able to ride him for as much as they could. And maybe he was able to provide that spark to put him into the playoffs. When he went down and when Finley went down, there was almost no more life left in the club.
The 1-2 pitch, and Hollins holds, evens the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. But they hung in there, finished with a record of 84-78, second in the West, 6 games behind Seattle. One reason why was the guy at the plate. I mean, he never let up. I mean, this guy is Mr. Hustle. Changed the attitude and aggressiveness with this team. Fastball stays up 3-2. And Wells wanted that one.
Yeah, he did. He can't afford to not have a lot of close calls not go his way. And you're talking about Dave Hollins, and this is a guy that, I'll tell you what, when he steps between the lines, Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach there of the Yankees, when Hollins steps between the lines, I don't think he even recognizes people anymore. He's so focused on what's going on. All business.
There's the high heat to Hollins, strikes him out. And the Angels go quietly in the first. Erstad, Edmonds, Hollins, 1-2-3. Heroes of Angels past. Yankees and Angels tonight. Meantime, Kansas City at Baltimore. Bottom of the ninth inning. KC leading 3-2. Bases loaded, 2 outs for Jeffrey Hammonds. He singles to left field, scoring 2 runs, and Baltimore wins the game 4-3. And the new Edison International Field of Anaheim hosting the final game of this pre-2-game series with New York and Anaheim. And it's Tino Martinez to lead things off. And he takes a fastball at the knees, strike 1. Martinez, a sensational year last year, beginning in April, when he had 34 runs driven in, setting a major league record. Ken Griffey Jr. formerly at 32 one April. And Tino lines went sharply to left, but right at Garrett Anderson, who had to pull that out of the lights to make the play.
Hey, look. Watch Garrett Anderson battle the elements, if you will, here. When the ball gets up into those lights and it's a low line drive, you have to wait for it to come back out of the lights before you can make the play. And you can only look at those lights for so long. It's like looking into the sun before you have to bail out of there. And luckily he was able to catch the ball before he had to get out.
Now Chili Davis coming over from the Kansas City Royals. Chili last year with 30 home runs, drove in 90. And all the New York designated hitters only hit 17 bombs. So Chili a welcome addition, and a switch hitter. Hill is low, 2 balls and no strikes.
I think you got to remember that he did all that damage playing on a poor team with not a lot of help around him either. It wasn't like you had to pitch to Chili Davis when you were facing the Royals.
Well, he gets the green light on 2-0. A power hitter like Chili will, and he swings at a split finger fastball, and the count goes to 2-1. Yeah, Kansas City's going to struggle this year. I mean, they lost to Baltimore, challenged the Orioles today, but golly, without Kevin Appier, that is going to be a tough road to climb.
Yeah. This guy, what a sign for the Yankees. Switch hitter, power from both sides, going to benefit from the short right field wall in Yankee Stadium, and he's got great gap power anyway, so it doesn't matter where he's from, the side, what side he's hitting from.
Boy, Hill painted the outside corner there to send the count full 3-2. Chili calls time. Ken Hill has gone a lot with fastballs, and he goes low to Chili Davis, so a 1-out walk to Davis, and now we'll see the number 7 hitter Darryl Strawberry. But Ken Hill, he's got good stuff.
He really does. And if you look at the keys to what he has to do, we talked about his mechanics a little bit. Marcel Latchman's a great guy to have around because he'll stay on top of those mechanics. If he has good mechanics, he can stay ahead in the count, and if he does that, he can go to that forkball, and it's devastating. He doesn't like to throw it when he's behind in the count because he doesn't throw it for strikes very often. But when you're ahead in the count, you can get guys to swing at one.
Chili does not go, and the pitch is low and inside. Strawberry having an excellent spring, where he hit better than 300. His power was back, but last year suffered knee problems and only was up 29 times. Hit 103. There's a chopper. Hill has it. Rolls off his glove. Only play first base. So moving into scoring position is Chili Davis when the Angels had a chance for the double play.
Now, Chili Davis tried to steal a base last night, so he thinks he's a speed demon this year, I guess. But if you can see, Kenny Hill will take his eye off the ball, thinking that he has to go to second a little bit quicker than he actually has to. All you have to do is catch that ball, make a good strong throw to second base. You're probably not going to get 2, but at least you cut down the lead runner. And those are the kind of things that pitchers work on time and time and time again in spring training. And so when you flub one up like that, there's nothing more frustrating to a manager.
So Strawberry takes his seat. Davis in scoring position, second base. And the batter is Scott Brosius, and he fouls it off, strike 1. Scott Brosius, Steve, I think was an interesting add by the Yankees in the offseason because he really pressed last year. Only hit .203 with the Oakland Athletics, a last-place team. And now he goes into that fishbowl that is New York.
Yeah, you're hoping that mentally this guy can handle the strain if he has a bad year again. There you see some of the numbers with runners in scoring position last year, and really struggled at the plate. He will bring some solid defense down there to third base, and if you really look up and down this lineup, there are positions where you can give up some offense to take some defense in the hot corner down there. Not a bad guy to have down there.
Had great power in '96 with 22 home runs. That slump really cost him last year, and even his skipper Art Howe said he was pressing all season long. Steve Physioc, Steve Lyons with you at Edison International Field in Anaheim. Scoreless game with the New York Yankees and the Anaheim Angels. Angels won last night 4-1. And there's a look at the beautiful new ballpark. $117 million renovation project. And right in the middle, the outfield extravaganza, fountains, waterfalls. And when the Angels hit a home run, you'll see a lot of fireworks as well. Upstairs to Brosius, 95 miles on the fastball. This is the man he wants. He's got hitters 8 and 9 right here. He's got to get Brosius and Girardi, because then you go Knobloch, Jeter, O'Neill, and the Murderers Row 98.
Unbelievable. I mean, if there's a weak link to this lineup, it is 7, 8, 9. You've got to get these guys out.
He'll misses with the fastball. He's mad at himself as he taps at his knee, and Brosius goes to first, and Terry Collins does some pacing in the dugout.
Well, it's not too often that a stadium will go back to the way it used to be. They enclosed this stadium when the Rams came in. I just want to know where'd they find a rock that big.
See that big A right at the top?
It's amazing how that A formation was up there at the top too.
I want to get an inner tube and go down that thing.
You'll have your chance.
Yes, I will. Now Joe Girardi, and all of a sudden Ken Hill has been wild and been high. He's been low against the 8 and 9 hitters, the two guys you talked about he needs to get.
Yeah, and this is where experience has got to come in from behind the plate, and Phil Nevin doesn't have any. These guys worked a lot together in spring training, and Terry Collins has kind of become a big proponent of having specialized catchers work with certain pitchers. Every time Kenny Hill pitches, Phil Nevin's probably going to catch, or at least that's the game plan right now. And Phil just doesn't have that much experience back there. I really like the way he's working, but at the same time, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience right now to go out and tell Kenny Hill what he might be doing wrong.
Well, Hill does come right back with a strike and evens the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Ken Hill has faced 8 batters, and he has walked 3, 1 in the first, 2 here in the second inning. And Joe Girardi is not an easy out with men on base. He hit .367 last year with men in scoring position, and he's got Davis at second. And that ball fouled off. 1 and 2.
A lot of controversy in the Yankee camp this year about Joe Girardi. George Steinbrenner was wanting to go with Posada behind the plate. Kid who had a great spring for him has really been coming along. Joe Torre and a couple of the bench coaches, a lot of the guys on the team wanted to stay with Girardi for that experience factor. And Girardi's one of those guys that comes up with the big hits for you. Never really impressive numbers, but at times like this, as you mentioned, his numbers with guys in scoring position just seems to nail you somehow when you're thinking, all right, I got to get this guy out, and then he comes up and bites you.
But if there's one stat that you can drop in front of Steinbrenner, it's the fact that when Girardi caught, the staff earned for an average was a full run lower than when Posada would catch. Hill steps off.
That is that experience factor. Girardi's an excellent receiver. He knows how to call a game. He knows how to work with the pitchers. There's those numbers in 97 with runners in scoring position. 336, not too shabby. Lots of RBIs. Proving once again you don't have to hit the ball out of the yard to drive in runs.
Fastball on the outside corner. A delayed call by Larry McCoy. And Joe Girardi thought it was outside, but a strikeout for Hill. And we go to the second. Look who's up. Inning here at Edison International Field of Anaheim, still looking for our first run. And tonight at 10, it's Fox Sports News Prime Time. All the scores, all the stories, all the action from your prime time team. 7 nights a week. We are there. Fox Sports News Prime Time. Tonight at 10, check your local listings. Well, Joe Girardi had 2 on, Steve, and where was this pitch?
Well, here's why Joe's mad. Look at where Nevin sets up way inside. Then he has to reach way back outside to make the play on that. Watch him setting up inside. He wants this ball down and in. Watch him have to reach way out over the plate. Usually you'll never get a strike called when you have to do something like that. No way was he hitting his location. Plus, the ball looked like it was down and away. I think Girardi has a pretty good beef about that.
And Ken Hill says, if he's going to give me that no strike call, I'm throwing them all night long.
Maybe Phil Nevin's better back there than we thought he was.
Well, 2 shutout innings for Hill and Nevin. And Hill talking with Alan Watson and Jason Dixon, who are the starters 4 and 5 for this team. Watson will be going on Saturday and Dixon on Sunday as the Cleveland Indians come to Edison International Field tomorrow. Tim Salmon snaps at the bat. He's unhappy that he was not able to pull that bat out of the strike zone. Instead, he fouls it off. But look at the year he had last year. This guy was Mr. Consistency.
He was unbelievable. Just can't believe he has never made an all-star team with the numbers that he throws up there. He just stays so consistent during the year. He doesn't have great numbers halfway through.
Pops it up. Tina Martinez takes care of Tim, and that's 4 set down in order by David Wells.
There's Marcel Latchman, the pitching coach. We saw him talking to Hill. Hill went over to talk to Watson and Dixon and say, can you believe he gave me that last pitch? And sure enough, pitching coach slides over there sooner or later to ruin your fun and say, yeah, you got that one, but you've also walked 3 guys. So you better get back your focus, figure out what you're doing out there, and go back out there for the next inning. You won't have to rely on calls like that.
So Hill sits down. Wells does his work. He's up high to Cecil Fielder. Fielder, of course, played for the New York Yankees last year and was part of their World Championship team in 1996. But the power numbers were down. You see the number of games because of a broken thumb sliding into home plate. Fastball stays up, 2-0. It's interesting the way New York pitched Cecil yesterday. They had 3 infielders on the left side. Tonight they're going straight away. But Andy Pettitte was working Cecil in every single time. So Wells has a different idea.
Pettitte loves to bury guys inside. Wells is going in with that pitch.
He jammed him, and Cecil just fights it off. Grounds it to Tina Martinez, and a quick 2 outs. Here's Andy Pettitte, last night's losing pitcher, as Chuck Finley outdueled him. A lot of rain last night, 57-minute rain delay, and Pettitte said he broke 2 tongue depressors on the mound. He was a little unhappy that they didn't have one of those boards in the back of behind the rubber where he could clean his cleats.
That's right. Hey, that, you know, people don't really sit around and think about those little intricacies of the game, that if you got a ton of mud on the bottom of your cleats, it's a little tougher to pitch, and you have to deal with those elements. I guess it's the same for everybody, though.
Heck with those tongue depressors. Take a butter knife out there.
That's right.
A couple of pieces of rye bread behind there.
Good thing we're not playing in New York. He would have had a few other kind of knives to choose from to scrape off his cleats with.
Oh, please. Garrett Anderson now the batter. Garrett sends one back up the middle. That's the first base hit by the Angels tonight. And Garrett Anderson again taking a high pitch and just ripping it back up the middle.
We talked about that earlier. One of the guys that can really get on top of a high fastball. Watch the location of this pitch. That ball is up underneath his armpits. That in today's game is considered a very high fastball. Got his hands up on top of it, was able to drive it right back up the middle.
So Anderson at first base. The Angels with their first base runner after Wells had retired 5 in a row. And now the local star, Phil Nevin, went to El Dorado High School, was an All-American at Cal State Fullerton, where he was college baseball's player of the year. And there's the high fastball by Wells, and Nevin went chasing, and strike one. Phil was the first player taken in the Major League Baseball draft by the Houston Astros, and then traded to Detroit, and then traded to Anaheim this past offseason for pitcher Nick Scusi. Angels getting Matt Walbeck and Phil Nevin, starting catchers.
I just think it's amazing that he is catching in a game tonight. I remember in 1989, I moved from playing third base over to second base, worked all spring training, and ended up being the opening day second baseman. But you just don't move from third base to catcher in a spring training experiment and then end up catching that year in the big leagues.
That time Garrett Anderson was going back towards first base. But Nevin with the Tigers last year, he's still using a Detroit bat. C27.
That's either some serious lack of respect because they haven't ordered him any new bats, or he's a very superstitious guy.
Or maybe he lacquered it himself. And it is hard as marble.
What are you saying there?
Ken Griffey Jr. says
cork in there or what? Now don't be starting any nasty rumors, Steve.
It's lacquer. Lacquer. I'm talking about the lacquer. Nevin skies it in the air left field. Derek Jeter drifting back makes the catch, ending the inning. And the Angels are down in the second. We go to the third here at Edison International Field. New York nothing, Anaheim nothing. It's time now for a Fox Sports Net game break. Colorado and Arizona. Dante Bichette at the plate. A 3-run home run off Brian Anderson. And the Rockies lead 5-4 in the bottom of the 6th inning. Rockies won the first 2 games of that series, as Arizona still looking for their first win as a new franchise. Tampa Bay won yesterday. Here in Anaheim, the Angels won 4-1 in their opener against New York. And Ken Hill is ready for his 3rd inning work against Chuck Knobloch, Derek Jeter, and Paul O'Neill. Knobloch struck out looking. Well, he framed it nicely there.
Yeah, he's gotten away with a few.
1 ball, 1 strike.
I like his actions back there. Like I said, I just think it's the most difficult thing to do. Good footwork back there. He sits back there nice. Looks very comfortable.
Well, Steve, you had a chance to visit with him before the game, and it did not sound like he had a great deal of, well, not confidence is the word, but he was a little surprised that Terry Collins was going with him.
Yeah, he said, blocking balls is the toughest part.
Base hit left field. Knobloch is on. That's trouble, because here's a guy with 62 stolen bases last year, and he will challenge Phil Nevin.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a tougher part right now. Tougher than blocking balls, throwing out that guy. And he will be running. Look at how balanced Knobloch is. Very wide stance. He's a small guy, low center of gravity. Nice effort there by Dave Hollins. Couldn't come up with that. That ball got on him so quick. He had a half a step and a dive, and you hope it goes in your glove. But here's where Nevin is going to probably try to get some coaching from the bench. Look in and get some help for some signs. Possible throw over, some pitch outs possibly, because this guy's going to be running.
Derek Jeter goes after the first offering and fouls it straight back, strike 1. Jeter, single to right field, stole a base his first time up, but was double off second base when Bernie Williams screamed a liner to center field. Jim Edmonds made the catch, and Jeter was already at third base, so an easy double play. Knobloch with an aggressive lead, but he goes back towards first base.
Kenny Hill has to show him a variety of moves over there. He has to throw over a few times. They may think about pitching out, because it's a matter of time before Knobloch runs, because this is a tough situation for the Angels. Kenny Hill is fairly slow to the plate, and Phil Nevin's raw behind the plate. We've seen him throw the ball down to second base. He looked like he had great mechanics and good footwork. He's got a strong arm, but it's when you have to do something that you haven't done very many times in a game situation is where you can rush yourself.
Knobloch does not go, and Hill catches the outside corner, strike 2. So you're saying Knobloch is not in one of those situations where he's looking to the dugout for the call. He's got the green light all the way.
I would think that before he signed his contract with the Yankees, he had the green light.
Well, this is a team with a lot of power and a lot of speed. Knobloch, Jeter, Williams can fly, and you know about their sluggers. Outside corner, strike 3, and Jeter is gone.
Kenny Hill did a great job of setting up Derek Jeter. Look at that ball run back out over the outside corner of the plate, a la Greg Maddux. Great movement on the fastball. Jeter gave up on it a little bit, and the ball rode back out over the outside corner of the plate. That's a great pitch.
All 3 strikeouts by Ken Hill have been called looking.
He doesn't mind.
Not at all. Give me that low strike, he is telling Larry McCoy. Now Paul O'Neill, who calls time. O'Neill walked his first time up, and he was at first base when Bernie Williams sent that liner to Jim Edmonds, and Edmonds doubled Jeter off second base. Fastball stays high and away. Paul, the veteran, now 35 years of age, from Columbus, Ohio. He was with Cincinnati. He was with Lou Piniella. And Lou Piniella tried to make him a power hitter, and Paul said, hey, I'm a line drive hitter. The home runs did go up, but they are a lot the same personality.
Right, and they didn't have a lot of guys. You know, they looked at Paul O'Neill to be one of the power guys when he didn't think he was ready to do it, and they needed some help in that department. And once he came over to the Yankees, and everything came more naturally for him to pull the ball, and he worked on his stroke going the other way, he just became so much a better hitter. He's hit over 300 every year he's been with the Yankees.
Hit 359 1 year to lead the American League in 1994. But a very intense competitor, much like Piniella in the 1970s when he too played for the Yankees. Knobloch was thinking about going.
Wow, that would be a balk if nobody called timeout.
Chuck is wandering down towards second base, and apparently O'Neill stepped out. Now Joe Torre is coming up to complain, but Larry McCoy is saying, hey, your guy called time. Paul
O'Neill did have his hand up trying to call timeout. I'm not sure if he actually got time. I think Larry McCoy at this point, to save face with everybody, would say, yes, I called timeout. That would save everybody a lot of problems here. Let's see a replay. Watch O'Neill's left hand go off the bat to call timeout. Right there, he's calling time, but nobody called timeout. You see Larry McCoy behind the plate. It didn't look to me like he called timeout. The umpire has to come out, raise his hands, and call time. Okay, if the pitcher cannot deceive the base runner, can the batter deceive the pitcher? Because that's what Paul O'Neill did to Ken Hill. He can. I mean, you do not have to be granted timeout just because you call timeout. And if Larry McCoy did not, in fact, give him timeout, and just because I'm calling for timeout and you don't give it to me, and the pitcher stops, that's a balk. Knobloch does not go. O'Neill takes a ball, 2-0. But I will say this. Larry McCoy has been slow on his calls. Remember Joe Girardi taking strike 3 to end the last inning? It was a very delayed call, so maybe Larry was saying time, but didn't show any physical evidence of calling time. Well, it's the physical evidence that everybody sees. O'Neill fouls it off as Knobloch was going. That's why they have both a verbal and a physical sign, so that everybody in the ballpark knows what's going on. The center fielder doesn't know time has been called if he just says timeout. But he calls time, raises both hands, and steps out of the playing field, basically steps out of the way of where the action is to let everybody know that time has been called. I'd love to see the explanation there. There are a lot of pitchers who would like to call timeout once the ball has left their hand. Yes. The 2-1. O'Neill rips it foul. The count is even, 2-2. And as you get 2 strikes on O'Neill, the more likely Chuck Knobloch is going to be going. He was going not that pitch, but the one prior to. So Hill might be going to first base. I would think that he's got to continue to be conscious that Knobloch's over there. The guy stole 62 bases last year. He knows he's there. Sometimes the best way to hold a guy on is to make a good pitch to the plate so your catcher can handle the ball. late in the count with 2 strikes, the chances for a breaking pitch or a split finger ball go up. It's a slower pitch to the plate, and Knoblauch knows that. Good time to be running.
Knoblauch goes, pitch is swung on, lifted in the air. Martin makes the catch, and Martin to first base for the Angels' second double play of the night. Well, the Angels playing well, throwing strikes, catching the ball. That's how they won last night, and that is their theme tonight. This Sunday, it's the season premiere of NFL Europe on Fox Sports Net. NFL passing, NFL speed, and NFL power as Scotland takes on Barcelona Sunday. Check your local listings.
Let's take a look at this last play, Steve. Here's O'Neill getting jammed with the pitch. Knoblauch is running on the pitch, so watch what he's doing. He takes a peek to see what happens. He sees the ball being hit. Now he knows he's 3/4 of the way to second base. If the ball drops, he easily goes to third, but there's no chance of getting back. So a lot of people might look at that play and say, oh, he made a bad play, didn't try to get back to first. He's no way would he be able to get back to first, so he hopes the ball goes over his head, and he keeps on moving, and that way he gets into third easily if the ball drops. And if it drops, he even has a chance of scoring on the play. And if Martin catches it like he did, it's just an easy double play.
2 line drive double plays have been executed by the Angels to keep the Yanks scoreless, and we'd like to welcome those watching on Fox Sports Southwest who just watched the Golden State Warriors beat the Houston Rockets 104-94. Steve Physioc, Steve Lyons with you at Edison International Field of Anaheim, the final game of a 2-game series with the New York Yankees and the Anaheim Angels in their brand new beautiful ballpark, Edison International Field. Norberto Martin was part of last night's victory. He came up with a clutch double in the 4th inning, and then Matt Wahlbeck sent a triple past Bernie Williams, and that broke a scoreless tie in the 4th inning. Now David Wells throws high and outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Norberto Martin. Martin with the White Sox last year, hitting .300 the year prior to that, hit .350, but always has been a guy coming off the bench. With the injury to Randy Velarde, Martin is the starter. And the Angels also signed Carlos Garcia, who was released by the Cleveland Indians, and traded for Craig Shipley.
Now they have a lot of help over there at second base. But Martin's just a little guy, but he certainly doesn't get cheated at the plate. He'll hack. Hit the ball hard 4 times last night.
He chases it and sends it to Scott Brocious, but he is a smooth-looking third baseman. A look at Edison International Field of Anaheim. Took 2 years to build, but after the $117 million facelift, you can see the wonderful work the architects and Disney created. It debuted before a sellout crowd of 45,000 last night, a game the Angels won 4-1.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it before. This used to be an open outfield stadium, then they closed it in, and now it's back to being an open air stadium again. You don't see that happen too often.
It's a baseball yard, a ball yard.
And I'll tell you, it will be a different ballpark too, because in the olden days when this place was an open air stadium through the outfield, the ball did not jump out of here that well. The wind blew in quite a bit. The wind is very calm tonight, but when this was enclosed, it became a hitter's yard.
There's the open area you're talking about, Steve, and the pitchers are smiling. They were thinking that that facility, that rock formation in center field, might be called Mount Watson, because Alan Watson led the major leagues in home runs allowed with 37 last year. And Alan, when he came out and saw the field for the first time, well, there's Gary DiSarcina, who now has 4 hits in this series, 3 for 4 yesterday, and a single tonight.
What an overlooked player that guy is right there. Solid defensively, shows up and plays hard for you every day, gets the job done, certainly in the field, becoming a better hitter with each year that passes, and just a good guy to build a team around.
And now we head back to the top of the lineup, and Darren Erstad grounded out to the second baseman his first time up, but prior to that, he was 4 for 6 against David Wells last year. Erstad went 1 for 5 in last night's triumph. And Steve, you're talking about this ball field and how the ball will carry. Erstad's last time up, I mean, he hit one hard. I thought it was gone, and it sent Paul O'Neill back to the 370 sign. I asked Darren, he said, I thought I got it off the end of the bat, but he said, I thought it would be off the wall.
And they moved the walls back 10 to 12 feet in different areas in the ballpark, so it is more of a pitcher's yard. That's why Alan Watson came out and smiled.
He was looking at the ballpark, and I said, Alan, what do you like most? And he said, the power alleys. They are deeper.
406 now to dead center, 370 in the alleys, 395 in the left center field alley. It's a long ways out there.
And maybe that's why the starting pitching is better. Ken Hill, Jack McDowell signed with the team in the offseason. Alan Watson, he's a guy who has plenty of potential, just 26 years of age. Wells really concerned about Gary DiSarcina, who has the Angels' second hit. 2 by the Halos, 2 by the Yankees. They'll work Darren Erstad away. Wells throws, and Erstad flips it foul. Brocious over, and Scott will not have a play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Looked like Wells was trying to go away, but got too much of the plate.
That's like what we talked about before. Wells his concentration can go away on him at times, and he's not just focused in on every pitch the way he should be.
Well, this is a guy he has to concentrate on.
Absolutely. You cannot get yourself in a situation like this with only 1 out and have Erstad drop one in a gap, and now you have first and third with still 1 out with the heart of the order coming up.
Yeah, because of those gaps, you'll see more doubles and triples in this ballpark this year.
Yes, you will. You hit a hard line drive into left center field, and it gets between the outfielders. Generally, you won't see too many triples to left center field. You'll see them to right center because it's a much longer relay throw. But here, you have a good chance of getting triples over there if you have any speed at all.
And Erstad can run. Takes high, 2 balls and 1 strike. Erstad had leg problems his senior year in high school. Still ran the 110-meter hurdles and also the 330, and won the state championship with leg problems. That's fast.
Yeah. 4 triples. Those numbers will go up this year playing in this yard.
And he led the major leagues in triples in spring training. Runner goes, throw to second base, and Gary DiSarcina is out by a mile.
That may have been a delayed steal right there, and if you don't catch anybody sleeping, you're going to be out by a mile. What DiSarcina does there is he takes a couple quick steps and then takes off running. You're hoping to get the shortstop sleeping and the catcher sleeping. Obviously, you see him taking a short step back to the base and then took off. It was either some kind of delayed steal or there was a hit and run play on that somebody missed.
But somebody missed. There's only one buddy down there.
I think it was a hit and run because you don't go back to the bag. Here's Jeter with the tag. Throw right on the money, makes the play. You don't go back to the base when you're doing a delayed steal. You take 3 short steps and then take off, and you hope to get guys sleeping. That was a missed hit and run play. Someone either the play wasn't on and DiSarcina thought it was, or it was on and Erstad missed it.
So the count 3-2 to Darren Erstad. He sends a fastball and a screamer to left center. Bernie Williams racing over, and cutting between is Darryl Strawberry to make a fine running catch, taking extra bases away from Darren Erstad. The game remains without a run as we head to the 4th in Anaheim. Looking for a run. Next week on Baseball Thursday, the defending champs take on the Phillies, or the MVP sticks of Jeff Bagwell and Barry Bonds battle by the Bay. Check your local listings for the game in your area.
Let's take a look at the catcher. See, Strawberry not saying a whole lot. That's one of those in-between balls when neither guy knows if he can really catch it. You don't want to say anything until you know you can catch it. That ball is almost in a situation where Straw had to dive for it, and Bernie, you saw him diving for it. It's one of those in nowheresville plays.
So now Ken Hill will face Bernie Williams and Tino Martinez, Chili Davis in the 4th inning. Yankees have scored just 1 run, and this is a team with plenty of power. They were 2nd in the American League in batting last year, 2nd in runs scored, 1st in on-base percentage. Yankees and Mariners probably with the best offense in the American League.
And here's a guy who has a hot zone when he's swinging the bat. There's not too many blue marks up there, isn't there? I mean, the guy hits everything. Not real good way down and in, but not too many guys are. You see a lot of sliders down and in that area. Tough pitch to hit, but anywhere else, this guy's going to mash the ball.
And Hill got one about thigh high and line one to center field for a double play. This time, Williams is out on a 6-3 grounder to Gary DiSarcina.
Tough out that guy is. A lot of controversy swirling around him now with the 1-year deal and a chance that he may show up in Arizona next year.
East and West Coasts are hassling. We got Piazza with the Dodgers, Williams with the Yankees. Something tells me both will remain with their respective clubs.
You never know.
You're right. Famous words of Joaquin Andahar could sum up baseball in one word. You never know. Now Tino Martinez, and he fouls it off. But the Yankees do have a $72 million payroll.
You better win.
They've got George Steinbrenner as their owner.
And it's not the highest payroll. Baltimore Orioles at close to $75 million.
Tino Martinez pops it up. DiSarcina calling off Garrett Anderson. 2 outs.
Well, Bernie signs the 1-year deal for $8.25 million. He feels like he has not been treated all that fairly within the organization. He got renewed twice, which basically means that early in his career, when he didn't have as much bargaining power, they couldn't come to terms on a contract that he thought was fair, so the team automatically renewed his deal. And that happens to you twice. You can be fairly sure that you as a player aren't going to be too happy about it later on.
And how much pressure is there on Joe Torre? Steinbrenner walked into his clubhouse and said, has there ever been a manager who won every single regular season game? I mean, that put a lot of importance on last night's game.
Yeah, didn't work out too well.
Base hit left field by Chili Davis. Time to take a look at our home run leaders in the major leagues. Brought to you by Canon. Vinny Castilla hit his 3rd yesterday. Mark McGwire beat the Los Angeles Dodgers in extra innings with a 3-run bomb. 8-5 that final score. David Segui hit 2 last night. Manny Ramirez hit 2 last night. Then how about that free swinging Lenny Webster?
Yeah. Turning over a new leaf on that home run leaderboard. He's taking a picture of that because he knows by next week he won't be on it.
There you go. Strike one. Boy, that ball was sliding outside. Will this be the year they break Roger Maris's record of 61 set back in 1961?
It all comes down to health. My money, if I was a betting man, is still on Junior, just because I think he has a chance of staying a little more healthy than Mark McGwire. McGwire has the back problems, the heel problems, and I'll tell you what, when McGwire was chasing that record last year, it was amazing when you watched him play that he almost never hit a ground ball. Every time he swung the bat, he had an opportunity to hit a ball out of the yard. Hit a lot of long fly balls.
And there are smaller ballparks in the American League, and Junior plays in the Kingdome.
And Junior doesn't care if you throw left hand, right hand, with both hands. If you get it over the plate, he's going to whack it.
Great hitter.
And he says, I'm not a home run hitter.
So does McGwire.
Yeah.
Strawberry takes it inside. 2 balls, 1 strike. If Straw can keep things going, Scott Brocious will follow. And Ken Hill would like to get this guy and start the next inning with the 8 and 9 hitters, and then have Knobloch clean things up rather than lead off.
Well, he has labored, and we talked about the walks early in the count. We talked about how he's gone deep into the count. He needs to settle down.
Never did a nice job that time, blocking the plate, keeping it in front of him.
And on a fastball, when you're a catcher, if you call a breaking pitch, you automatically, the first thought in your mind is, I got to make sure if this ball's in the dirt, I have to block it. You get a little more relaxed when you call fastballs because you figure the pitcher has better control of this fastball. So when he throws a fastball in the dirt, it can surprise you. So you have to continue to remind yourself to get down and block a fastball if it's in the dirt too.
The count 3-1. Chili Davis, first base. 2 outs. Let up a little bit on that outside corner, and Straw tried to pull it, fouled it off.
Straw got out in front of that one, an off-speed pitch. He talked to us earlier before the game started, and he said, you know, I'm not the same guy I used to be. I've gone the opposite way a lot more often because guys are pitching me out that way. I don't just swing for the trees like I used to. I want to be more of a complete hitter. He's going to get his opportunities to play this year. 4 or 5 times a week they're going to have him out in left field, so it's all up to him.
He'll play against the right-handers. Chad Curtis against the lefties. Chili Davis, first base. 3-2 the count. Davis will be going. He goes. The pitch swung on. Ground ball. Martin. He has it. Inning over. Nicely done by Ken Hill. We go to the bottom of the 4th. The same inning. The Angels scored 4 last, but no runs. It's time now for a Fox Sports Net game break. It's the Braves in Milwaukee, top of the 11th inning. Jeremy Burnett hits his 2nd home run of the night, a grand slam off Brian Edmondson, and the Brewers lead 8-4 in the bottom of the 11th inning. Steve Physiak along with Steve Lyons at Edison International Field of Anaheim. Beautiful new ballpark, seats 45,000. A baseball-only facility, and we have yet to see a run. And prime time for the Angels to score with Edmonds, Hollins, and Salmon coming to the plate. If it gets on, Big Daddy Cecil Fielder.
Yes, sir. Seems a little strange to say the Braves and Milwaukee. Not only the Milwaukee being in the National League, but the Braves themselves used to be there.
They're going to have a new ballpark soon.
Soon.
Bud Selig's got things going up there.
He's happy about it.
No question. Jim Edmonds takes a curveball, strike 1. 2nd straight time that Wells has started. Jimmy, that breaking ball. He started breaking ball 1st inning and then went up with the fastball.
You know, it's a lot easier to pitch with your fastball up in the zone when you're ahead in the count. You can get guys chasing it. You don't have to be quite as fine. You can run it higher out of the zone, and guys have to be, you know, a little more protective of the plate. They get a little more aggressive when they're behind in the count because they have to protect the plate. They don't want to strike out. They don't want to not swing at a good pitch.
And Wells is being aggressive. I mean, he's staying up in the strike zone. If you make a mistake up, you're going to get hammered. But he's been above the hitting zone. David Wells, his 11th year in the major leagues, and he has bounced around. And again, he stays up in the strike zone. Edmonds pops up. Wells is called off by Brocious, and 1 out.
And now somebody's going to say to Wells, hey, stay out of here. Get the non-athletes off of the field after you throw the ball. You have no business over here trying to catch that ball. You just tell someone else who to catch it.
I thought I read his lips that said, I got it.
Yeah.
And Girardi was saying, get out of the way.
He was saying, no, you don't.
Now Dave Holland struck out swinging his 1st time up. He was on base 3 times yesterday. And goes after a high fastball, pops it up, foul territory, will drift out of play. That is strike 1. Well, boy, he has been consistent. Fastballs up to Edmonds and Hollins. He thinks he can get him out on that pitch.
You know, guys that can throw the ball in the 90s can get away with that. And like I said, he's smart enough right now to have that ball up high enough in the zone where a guy like Hollins can't reach it. If you drop that down a couple inches, if you drop that pitch right there down about 1.5 inches, it would have gotten hammered.
And Hollins thinks about bunting, tries it, but fouls it off. He's behind the count, 0-2. Dave, a terrific bunter, but mainly from the right side.
Now Brocious would play way back off of him. If you can take a base hit in a game like this that's scoreless, you do anything you can to score a run. Now Wells has a lot of options. He can go up in the zone, or he can try to throw breaking balls down in the dirt. I think he's going to bounce a curveball right here.
Goes fastball. It is driven deep into the night, and it is gone. The answer to a future trivia question: who is the man who hit the first home run at the new Edison International Field of Anaheim?
That is what you call a big league mistake right there. I saw 2 fingers. I thought he was going to try to bounce a curveball. That's what he should have tried to do. Tried to get him with fastballs. There's another fastball right out over the middle of the plate. That's up in the zone. It's not high enough. Wells, look at the reaction of Wells. He knows it's gone as soon as it leaves the bat. Cannot leave an 0-2 pitch right there.
Now Tim Salmon. Salmon takes a fastball down. Ball, strike one. No, they called it a strike. Hollins with the solo home run, his first of the year. Hit 16 last year. Well, that pitch to Salmon looked low, but they called it a strike.
Hollins thinks it's Christmas time. You never get 0-2 pitches right down the middle like that.
Unbelievable. But I think he was trying to go up the ladder. He got Hollins to swing and miss on a fastball that was above the letters on the very first pitch.
Yeah, 0-2, you have to miss a lot worse than that. You have to climb the ladder even higher, or you have to bounce a curveball and see if a guy will chase it. You can't leave one right down Broadway.
Curveball in there. 1-2. Is that what you were talking about to start the game? His focus, his concentration on an 0-2 pitch?
And it seemed good up until that point. I think in that case it was just a mistake, because he looks like he's got his focus right now, and earlier in that bat it looks like he had his focus.
Tim Salmon, ground ball, Derek Jeter. Bounces and Salmon safe.
Derek Jeter just doesn't set his feet right here. See, he's still fading away. He's got nothing on this throw. He had a lot more time than he thought he did, and he bounces over here to Tino Martinez. That's kind of a short hop. Tough play to handle as a first baseman, and Jeter knows that that is his error.
And the scoring decision is base hit.
Guess it's my bad. I want to come back and play for the Angels.
You're falling in love with the scorekeeper, eh?
That's either a that's an all-star shortstop out there, I guess. They don't get errors. Wow.
Now Wells to Cecil Fielder, and Fielder takes low, ball 1. Cecil grounded out to first base his first time up, tried to check his swing, but bat hit the ball, and it rolled one to Tino Martinez to record the second out of the second inning. Angels scored their runs, all 4 of them in the 4th inning. Here in the 4th tonight, they've scored a run on a solo home run by Dave Hollins. Big Daddy went after the curveball, tried to rip it, fouls it off. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Boy, it's nice to have a great reputation, isn't it? Great reputation as a shortstop and a great reputation as a hitter. Check out the slow motion camera. The off-speed pitch gets Cecil way out in front. He hits it like a pool cue. Tim Salmon isn't known as a guy with great speed, so he certainly wasn't going to leg out the hit.
Misses low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Both Salmon and Hollins are very good base runners. And Terry Collins, a very aggressive manager. They doubled their steals last year, going from 53 to 126 from 96 to 97.
And I think they're going to see a big drop off this year because they do not have great team speed anymore. Tony Phillips isn't around anymore. Erstad's the guy that leads off for you.
And Erstad really is a number 3 hitter.
He's not going to be a leadoff hitter for very long. I think he's a leadoff hitter right now out of necessity. That's one of the things that this team needs, is a legitimate leadoff hitter. Doesn't have the on-base percentage that you'd like to see as a leadoff hitter, because he tries to hit the ball with a little more power, and right now he's trying to put his eyes back in so that the next time he comes to the plate he'll be able to see. But that's a guy who's going to be a 3, 4, 5 hitter later in his career.
Fastball stays up. Ball 4. Cecil Fielder is on. Tim Salmon goes to second base, and Joe Torre saying, my man was right on beam for 3 1/3, and all of a sudden a home run and infield hit, and he has walked his first man in Cecil Fielder.
Now, what you were talking about earlier, Steve, is exactly what's coming into play right now. Looked good early in the at-bat to Dave Hollins. Then clearly a mistake, an 0-2 pitch left out over the middle of the plate that gets hammered into the ozone out there. Now all of a sudden he can't get that out of his head. He keeps thinking about it. And then a tough play in the infield that gets scored a hit. Then you walk a guy. That's how you get in big trouble.
And here is a guy that David Wells cannot make a mistake to. Garrett Anderson, very good hitter, and Garrett can go out of the strike zone to get base hits.
Now, this is a guy that can hit almost anything. You see where he doesn't like the ball is down and in and down and away. We talked about him being a very good high ball hitter for a lefty. That hot zone proves that to be true. We saw him go up the middle on a ball that was up in his eyes earlier in the game. He's what you call a pretty good bad ball hitter also.
Breaking ball in there. Anderson behind the count, 0-2. Steve, I don't know how many times I'll tell you last year Gary Anderson would look so bad on one swing, and the next pitch, same location, hit double it off the wall.
Setting up those pitchers.
You bet.
Here's where the concentration comes in.
Salmon second base, Fielder first base. 1 out. Wells had the 0-2 again, and he chose the same pitch he threw to Dave Hollins, only this time it was out of the hitting zone.
Much better location. That's a good 0-2 pitch. Get a guy to try to chase a pitch he can't hit. Garrett Anderson can't do anything with that ball except foul it off or pop it up to an infielder or hit a weak ground ball somewhere. He can't drive it anywhere. Get him to... This is the time where a pitcher can afford to nibble. He can afford to bounce one in the dirt to try to get someone to chase a pitch.
Garrett chops one up the middle. Jeter's got a chance for 2. Bobbles, throws in time, but cannot get the double play on what looked to be a 6-4-3 easy one.
It's not going to show up in the box score, but Derek Jeter's having a tough time. He moved himself into a short hop right there. As an infielder, when the ball's hit, you're moving towards the ball, trying to read and pick out a hop. He ran himself right into that short hop right there, probably because he's trying to hurry into a double play situation. If he steps back on that ball and takes a big easy hop, it's a little tougher to turn to double play, but you don't get eaten up the way he did right there by having to run into the ball.
Now Phil Nevin and Joe Girardi really delaying his return throw to David Wells. He just froze to the plate thinking, isn't that a strike? And Larry McCoy said, nope, ball 1. There's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Phil Nevin popped up to short his first time. Guy has terrific power, hit 9 home runs in a limited number of at-bats with the Detroit Tigers last year. And Phil pops it up, foul territory. Grosh is over, does not have room. Oh, celebrations. There you get a foul ball and you get a kiss. Only at Edison International Field where there's nothing but electricity.
They're going to get married this weekend.
Meantime, Steve Lyons is throwing foul balls into the crowd.
Not again. Get a room. Sure hope nobody loses a bat and they throw that into the stands. This is still a G-rated show.
All right. Phil Nevin breaks his bat, loops it down the first base side. Martinez can't reach it, and the count will be 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Wells will send Nevin to the bat rack because he sawed his bat in half. We'd like to welcome those fans who were watching the Milwaukee Brewers Atlanta Braves game, and the Brewers won it 8-6 in 11 innings. We welcome you to Edison International Field of Anaheim. Steve Physioc, Steve Lyons enjoying this one as the Angels lead it 1-0 on Dave Holland's solo home run in this inning.
Now this is a great contrast in the concentration level that we've seen from Wells. Early on looked pretty good. He gives up the home run, struggles a little bit, and right now for Phil Nevin, he is living in his kitchen. Just sawing him off right and left to see if he stays in there.
Curveball ripped to left center field, and that will drop. In comes Sammy, right behind Cecil Fielder, and the Angels have taken a 3-0 lead.
Terrible location here again. He's just been burying him inside. Watch where this ball goes. Right out over the middle of the plate. I'll tell you, Girardi wasn't even setting up inside, so I don't know what the thinking was right there. There's an old saying in baseball that says, no brain, no headache. So you don't think about too many things. Just go out and do what's been working for you. They were burying Nevin inside. They should have stayed in there. Instead, they go out over the plate, and Nevin drills a ball in a gap.
Yeah, but you save money on aspirin. 3-0 Halos. Norberto Martin fouls it off, strike 1. Nevin with the double, his first RBIs as an Angel. He really enjoyed coming back home after going to Houston and Detroit. And Cecil Fielder for the last 2 years wanted to come here so badly. He called his old manager and one of his closest friends, Sparky Anderson, to talk to Sparky about his opinion of the Angels, and Sparky gave glowing reports of the team and their skipper Terry Collins. Down back. As a matter of fact, Sparky told Cecil, if you don't like Terry Collins, you can come to my house and punch me in the face. He thinks that highly of the skipper of the Angels.
Boy, I'd take that chance just for the heck of it.
Sparky is like Cecil's second father. They had some great years together in Detroit.
I had Sparky thinking he was going to punch me in the face one time when Roger Clemens hit one of their players and we had a little brawl, and next thing I know, I was face to face with Sparky.
Swing and a miss. Down goes Martin, but the Angels score 3 on the home run by Dave Hollins and a double by Phil Nevin. Here's the fastball to Dave. It's the Angels 3, the Yankees nothing. The Angels scored 4 runs in the 4th inning last night. They have 3 in the 4th tonight to take a 3-0 lead on New York. And Fox Sports Net is going deep, taking you past the headlines and inside the biggest stories. Join host Joe Buck for Going Deep, Sundays at 9 in most areas on Fox Sports Net. There's Dave Hollins, the hero for the Angels, to break the scoreless duel with a home run to left field. Phil Nevin, Ken Hill's catcher, is catching a shutout and has a 2-run double. Walbeck was the star offensively and defensively for the Angels, so right now the trade's looking pretty good. There's a fly ball center field. That's an out. Edmonds runs it down, the Gold Glove winner from 1997.
Now this is where Kenny Hill has to come in and shut him down. His team just got him 3 runs. Sat in there for a little while. It's tough to get loose sometimes, but you have to come in and throw strikes and get guys out. You can't turn around and give it right up.
And he put himself in a pretty good situation last inning in the 4th when he got Darryl Strawberry to end it so he could open this inning with hitters 8 and 9 before going to Murderers Row 98. That ball hit the left field, and Ken Hill right now with an easy first 2 outs in the 5th inning.
3 pitches, 2 outs. You love that. Here's a guy who's going to work it a little bit. Mentioned in his first at bat, he struck out on 3 straight fastballs. Knobloch wants to see all your pitches. Wade Boggs, I always thought the best way to get Wade Boggs out was to throw fastballs down the middle. Everyone always used to pick at him, throw the same pitch. He wanted to see all your pitches. So if you threw the same pitch all the time, he would be more apt to guess another pitch later on, and he wouldn't see everything you had. The best thing to do with him would be throw the same pitch, and the next time he comes up, throw sliders all the time to him. He wants to see everything. If you don't give him that chance, he's not going to be as good a hitter.
There's a strike. A ball, a strike to Chuck Knobloch.
There you see Chuck Knobloch. You know, there's a couple blue zones in that.
Why is the blue zone in the middle, though?
Well, he has such a small strike zone. He crouches down so much, and sometimes, guys, like I said, he likes to go the other way a lot with his pitches. Sometimes you throw the ball right down the middle. It's the best way to get a guy out.
Well, Ken Hill threw a fastball right down the middle to Chuck Knobloch in the first inning, and he took it looking for strike 3.
Yeah.
Look how wide his stance is.
Really spread out.
Why does he do that?
Got a real low center of gravity, tries to keep his balance. Different guys feel comfortable to play it in different ways. He likes to be spread out so that he doesn't overstride, so that the stride he takes towards the ball is very short and his momentum doesn't go one way or the other. It stays right centered, and then he can swing the bat as a pendulum around his body.
And he rips one back up the middle, almost took Ken Hill's head off. So a 2-out single by Knobloch, and now Ken Hill knows the importance of getting hitters 8 and 9 to start this inning.
This is what you call chuck and duck. Throw the ball and then look out because it's coming right back out at you. Knobloch didn't get all of that. He kind of got fisted a little bit, but good hitters get jammed, and you're able to fight the ball off like that, and you have great balance at the plate like Knobloch does. It's just another base hit, and then you become a tremendous threat on the bases, especially with 2 outs.
Yeah, there's the train, and it is not heading to the Bronx. We are in Anaheim, California, site of the new beautiful Edison International Field of Anaheim, and Derek Jeter, the Yankees Rookie of the Year shortstop from 1996, is at the plate. Jeter is 1 for 2 in the game, singled in the first, stole a base, struck out looking in the third.
So far hasn't been taking a whole lot of pitches for Knobloch over there. I think he is going to benefit greatly from having Knobloch lead off. Not only does Jeter not have to lead off this year, Knobloch, the threat of stealing is going to get him a lot more fastballs, a lot better pitches to look at. He may have to take a few more pitches hitting in that number 2 slot, but he sure hasn't shown that he's going to do that tonight. He's been first pitch hacking all night. See Knobloch peeking in at the catcher.
Chuck does not go, and the pitch fouled off. So Jeter's behind, 0-2, so now he's got to be protecting. I thought Knobloch might go on first pitch.
Yeah, no reason for him not to be going. I think if the count goes any further, he will run this at bat. 2 outs.
2 strikes, even if he strikes out. Well, I mean, even if Knobloch is thrown out, Jeter gets a fresh at bat next, and he was their leadoff guy last year.
Right.
Ooh, it was close. 1-2.
Jeter spent a lot of time in the offseason working on the pitch in. He knows he's going to see more fastballs. He's afraid he's going to get buried. Did a pretty good job adjusting to the ball away from him last year.
Knobloch goes, the ball skied to right. Salmon right there makes the catch. Inning is over, and Ken Hill has thrown 5 shutout innings. We go to the bottom of the 5th. DiSarcina, Erstad, Angels with a couple of important offseason ads when Todd Green, their catcher, went down hurt. Well, Phil Nevin and Matt Wolbeck last night looked mighty important.
They're doing the job. Nevin's looked great behind the plate. Drove in a couple of runs with that double. A couple surprise pitches that these guys have gotten to hit when they've been in the hole. But as a hitter, you'll take them. If it's over the plate, you're going to be hacking.
And you're probably... So New York waiting for their murderer's row to explode. The Angels have quieted the Yankees to just 1 run in these first 2 games. Anaheim will take on the Cleveland Indians. Meantime, New York heads north, and there is the pitch to Gary DiSarcina, and he takes strike one. DiSarcina 1 for 1, singled his first time up to left field. Look at that, 4 for 5 this year. And Wells comes right back with the changeup, and it's a ball to strike. DiSarcina way out in front, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Anaheim, meantime, having to fight off Seattle, Oakland, and Texas this year. Mariners have the night off. DiSarcina fouls it off. Seattle has lost their first 2 games to the Cleveland Indians. The Texas Rangers lost their first game. Oakland lost their first contest. So the Angels came into this game with a 1-game lead in the West. 160 plus to go. DiSarcina sends it foul. The count stays 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's the new Yankee third baseman. Scott Brosius taking over for Charlie Hayes and Wade Boggs. Hayes now with San Francisco, and Boggs with the new Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Tampa won tonight 7-1 over Detroit.
Boggsy gets the first home run in Devil Ray history.
DiSarcina with a ground ball. Derek Jeter. 1 out. It's time now for a Fox Sports Net game break. Chicago and the Texas Rangers, bottom of the 7th inning. Juan Gonzalez with the grand slam. Texas has an 18-4 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Well, Chicago gets a couple touchdowns later in the game, they'll be all right.
But it's late in that game. It's the 8th inning. Here's Darren Erstad. Takes a curveball, strike 1. Wells has started 3 times now with a breaking ball for a strike.
Juan Gonzalez is another one of those guys that if he stays healthy can jump right into that 60 home run range.
Erstad checks his swing on the breaking ball, and it's 1-1. Erstad 0 for 2. Grounded out his first time up to the second baseman Chuck Knobloch, and in his last at bat sent one to the alley, but Darryl Strawberry made a nice running catch. Strike 1 and 2.
That's a nasty breaking ball right there. Big sweeping curveball. Looks like it's coming right at you, but by the time you get finished looking at it, it's low and away, and you know you can't hit it, so you don't even swing.
And again, that breaking ball, they are not feeding Erstad any fastballs.
It's interesting right there. We saw Joe Girardi with the sign. It was a single finger, a 1 finger. I wonder if they think that the Angels are trying to steal signs somehow, because generally 1's a fastball, 2's a curve, especially when nobody's on base. Girardi gives the 1 finger, and it was a breaking ball. There's 3 fingers, which is generally a slider.
Fastball up and away.
And remember when Hollins hit the home run, the sign that I saw was 2, so I was looking for a breaking ball, and it was a fastball right down the middle.
And no one was on base. Solo home run by Hollins. So there's the 1 again. And there's the breaker, and Erstad pops it up right field. Paul O'Neill. 2 outs. Well, David Wells with a nice ball to strike ratio. He just seemed to just fall out of sync, maybe lost his concentration in the 4th inning when the 0-2 pitch to Dave Hollins was bad. And you also talked about the pitch that got too much to plate to Phil Nevin.
Right, you certainly want the guy to throw strikes, but you don't want the strikes to be like that pitch that was to Dave Hollins right down Broadway.
Now Jim Edmonds, and he takes strike 1. Wells to Edmonds. It's been the hard high cheese, and Edmonds has grounded out and he has popped up.
Edmonds is doing something against lefties this year that I don't remember seeing him do last year. You may have, because you saw more games with the Angels. Not really even striding against the left-hander, just picking up that front foot and then putting it back down in the same spot. You see him spread out a little bit more. Has not been striding towards the pitcher at all against left-handers. See him just pick it up, put it right back down in the same spot.
You know, 95, he had a great year hitting left-handers.
Yes, he did.
96, terrible year. Last year he battled back, hit better than 270 against southpaws.
He's trying not to get too far out in front of himself by doing that.
There's the curveball, and he sends it to Chuck Knobloch. Edmonds is out. The Angels are gone. We head to the 6th inning here in Anaheim. It's the Angels 3, the Yankees nothing. In Anaheim, it is the Angels 3 with all 3 runs in the 4th inning. The Yankees nothing. And NHL always on Fox. Some special Saturdays. The New York Rangers and the Islanders, Florida, Philadelphia, LA, Washington, Detroit, Chicago, the Avalanche and the Blues. Check your local listings for those games in your area. Here we go to the 6th inning. Paul O'Neill will lead things off, then Bernie Williams, then Tino Martinez. New York has really struggled offensively in this series. First 2 games in 14 innings, they have a 190 team average. 9 hits, 40 at bats, and all 9 hits are singles. They've scored just 1 run. It came in their 4-1 loss yesterday.
This game has a way of humbling you. I know late in spring training, Andy Pettitte had said, we're hitting the ball so much, it's sickening to see us play. Of course, he was the victim of the first loss of the season. They didn't hit so much for him that night.
Well, the Angel pitchers have really quieted him. Chuck Finley really grinded out last night in terrible conditions. And tonight it is Ken Hill. The 1-2. Ripped in the gap, left center field. Anderson racing, will not reach it. O'Neill will have 2.
This is what we talked about, his ability to go to the opposite field. In years past, he would have tried to pull that pitch, but you see the way it's running away from O'Neill. Just stays right with it, lets the ball get in on him a little bit before he just hammers it into the gap in left field there. Perfect spot between the outfielders. Nobody can chase it down, and it's nice to be standing on second base after you swing the bat.
Hill threw that about belt high. Nevin wanted it low and outside, got too much to play, and now the dangerous Bernie Williams. He's 0 for 2, lining into a double play and grounding out to short. Nevin calls for the low outside corner again. It's missing. 1 ball, no strike.
You know, Hill has not given up a run all night, but he has not been comfortable out there. He's in an area that we call just wild enough to be effective. It's hard for the hitters to really figure out what he's trying to do to you. He's been all over the place, but he's been able to throw the big pitch when he's needed it.
Now Williams fouls it off. Counts even, 1-1. O'Neill at second base. Angels with a 3-0 lead with a home run by Dave Hollins in the 4th, and then the double by Phil Nevin that scored 2 in that inning. O'Neill has started the 6th with a double. Hill steps off. New York expected to get a challenge this year from Baltimore, Boston, Toronto in that American League East. Baltimore winning today 4-3 over Kansas City. Hill is low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Boston beat Oakland 6-3, so the Red Sox 2-0 after Pedro Martinez threw 7 innings of no-run ball and struck out 11 yesterday. Toronto lost to Minnesota, though, 3-2. They've got a great rotation with Clemens and Henkin and Guzman. Young Chris Carpenter really looks sharp.
Have trouble scoring runs up there north of the border.
Carlos Delgado will be out for a while. Benito Santiago lost for probably the entire season.
And that was such a pretty car that got wrapped around that tree too.
I'm just glad he is still healthy. Now Phil Nevin calls time. Hill and Phil want to get together to talk about this critical at bat against Bernie Williams here in the 6th inning, with the Angels leading by 3 runs.
Well, Nevin is a new catcher behind the plate, doesn't want to get crossed up. They want to make sure that they have the signals figured out.
Or do they want to change them with O'Neill at second base?
They want to make sure that nobody's stealing signs out there. O'Neill is on second. Just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. It's no fun to be looking for a curveball and get a fastball if you're the catcher.
Hill went up in the zone and Williams tried to pull it. It's 2-2.
Now, come to think of it, it's no fun to be a hitter and looking for a curveball and get a fastball either.
Bernie Williams, a very difficult man to pitch to. Switch hitter, hit over 300 both left and right side last year.
And he's just a complete hitter.
Calls time.
It's amazing to me to realize that this guy now, Bernie Williams, is the number 4 hitter for the New York Yankees. When you saw him come up, you thought he'd be a leadoff number 2 guy with the speed and the great defensive ability that he has. You just watched him get better and better and better. You see where he hit the ball based on last year's hits. Look at how balanced it is. 41 hits to left field, 34 up the middle, and 37 to the right field. Keep in mind, Bernie Williams, a switch hitter, but I'll tell you, he can go anywhere, anytime.
The 2-2 fouled off. So Hill will try it again with Paul O'Neill at second base. Nobody out. And the Yankees trying for some offense here after they have been shut down by Angel pitching last night by Chuck Finley, Mike Holtz, and Troy Percival. Tonight by Ken Hill.
That pitch right there is what shows you what kind of hitter that Bernie Williams is, with 2 strikes, able to fight off a nasty pitch down and in. Me and you swing and miss, and we're sitting on the bench right now. He stays alive and is able to at least see another pitch.
And it is low and inside. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Keep yourself alive, work the count, hope the pitcher makes a mistake, then you hammer him. And instead of a strikeout and you're sitting on the bench, you hit a double in the gap, you scored a run. A lot of things can happen if you can just stay alive at the plate.
And Hill has to grind it out as well, make quality pitch after quality pitch. Keep him on the corners. He left 1 over the plate. Williams missed it and fouled it back.
Does not want to walk Bernie Williams in this situation.
Williams pops it up left field. Garrett Anderson right there. 1 big out. Well, Hill made the quality pitch you talked about.
He challenged him right there. He said 3-2, here's a fastball. It's going to run on you a little bit, but here it comes. And he had to get enough of the plate to have it be called a strike at least. So he's in a situation where you cannot put Bernie Williams on base via the walk right there. Put 2 guys on, have Tino coming to the plate. You have a 3-run lead. Now 1 swing of the bat ties the thing up.
So Tino Martinez, one of the great sluggers last year in the American League. 44 home runs, the most since Lou Gehrig in 1936, the most by a Yankee first baseman. And he sends a ground ball. Norberto Martin. O'Neill goes to third. There's 2 outs, and 2 tough hitters are out in Bernie Williams and Tino Martinez.
Tino's number so unbelievable with the RBIs and the home runs. 44 home runs, and a guy does not win the MVP award. Jeez,
well, how about the guy who got the MVP? He was pretty special.
Wow.
And they were former teammates. And Griffey Jr. and Tino Martinez in Seattle. Junior in center, Tino at first base. And when he came to New York, he was replacing a great one in Don Mattingly.
A lot of pressure.
Chili Davis fouls it off. Strike one. Got a luxury box. And for those of you joining us, we welcome you to Edison International Field in Anaheim, California. Was joining us from that Texas Rangers Chicago White Sox game. Juan Gonzalez hit a grand slam, and the Rangers win it 20-4. Well, the White Sox did not get the couple of touchdowns you thought they might late in that game. Ball strike meantime to Chili Davis.
Chili Davis may be trying to set Kenny Hill up right here. His first swing was on a fastball. That was a very lazy swing to try to get Hill thinking maybe he can blow a fastball by him.
Hill
and
wanted
then
that one.
For the rest of that bat, Chili Davis will sit on a fastball. That was a tough pitch right there, kind of a backup slider. Chili didn't bite.
And Davis really an intelligent hitter. He works pitchers as well as any hitter in the game. Checks his swing on that. Oh, he went around. It was also catching the zone. That's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Chili trying to hold up on this pitch. Not too bad.
I think he got the corner. I think he caught the strike zone.
It's an easier call.
So Ken Hill says, I'll try it again. This time change speeds on it. Go for the outside corner. Davis fouls it off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Left-handed last year. Hit 21 home runs. Those numbers with the Kansas City Royals. And when George Steinbrenner looked at how his designated hitters suffered last year, he said, we've got to have this guy on our team. Well, he's got O'Neill at third base. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs. We're in the 6th inning. The Angels lead it 3-0. Home run by Dave Hollins. Double by Phil Nevin. Marcel Latchman is going to talk with the bullpen, as it's only the first regular season game for Ken Hill, and now you talk about the number of pitches. And he misses. Ball 4, and Chili Davis is on, and the tying run will come to the plate. In Crenshaw High School from Los Angeles is Darryl Strawberry. And that brings Marcel Latchman, the Angels pitching coach, out of the dugout.
You see by that graphic right there how many batters he went through before he walked the guy after walking 3 out of the first 8 he faced. That was where we talked about these Yankee hitters are so aggressive at the plate. You see Rich DeLucia warming up. That when you get a team as aggressive as the Yankees are, when you are wild in the strike zone like we talked about, they're going to go up there hacking. They're not going to get the greatest pitches to hit all the time. You can keep them off balance, and that's what Kenny Hill has done all night. I think it's a great time for Marcel Latchman to come out and talk to Ken Hill, because what he's going to tell him to do to Strawberry is keep working him away. Run fastballs away from him. Try to get him to roll the pitch over and roll a weak ground ball to the second baseman like he did in his last at-bat.
Well, they come inside to start, Darryl, and it's ball 1. Strawberry 0 for 2 both times, as you said, working away, keeping the ball down, and he grounded out to Ken Hill, and he also grounded out to Norberto Martin.
Hill's had pretty good movement on his fastball away.
Strike 1. Evens the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Strawberry, you know about his power. He's now 36 years of age, but he's had some great years. 11 years ago with the New York Mets, hit 39 home runs. Hit 39 twice in his career, and the Angels will play him straight away in the outfield. He fouls it off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Does he go away with that little runner?
I throw a fork ball right here, and I try to bounce it. Try to get Strawberry to go chasing some. He's got a pitch to waste right here, then go back away.
Man's on third base. You want to bounce it with a young catcher?
Got to do what you have to do. He's back there playing. He better do the job.
Ooh, just misses inside. Hill trying to jam him. Let's see if he works away now.
See, the key there is if he's going to miss, he's going to miss in. He's not going to miss out over the plate where Strawberry can handle that pitch. You might get the call on the inside corner, or else you run it off the plate inside. Then you go back away, I think.
The 2-2 pitch. Misses low and inside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. That was Ken Hill's 100th pitch. 59 have been strikes, 41 out of the zone. He has walked 4. Rich DeLucia has been warming up in the bullpen and had an outstanding spring. You've got a right-hander coming up next, but you do not want to put the tying runs on the base. Bring the go-ahead to the plate. Ground ball, foul.
I'm a little miffed at the way they've approached this at-bat here. I don't have a problem with going inside off the plate to Straw, but I think when you're a guy like Kenny Hill and your biggest advantage on your fastball is that the way it runs away from a left-handed hitter, to try to get Strawberry to roll over on a pitch is exactly what you want to do. Now they've waited to a 3-2 count before they tried to do that. You saw the weak swing right there from Strawberry and a ball running away from him.
The 3-2 again. Strawberry hits it in the air, left field, a long run for Garrett Anderson. He gets there. What a catch by Garrett Anderson. Steve Physioc, Steve Lyons with you at beautiful Edison International Field of Anaheim. The Angels with a 3-0 lead, but only because of Garrett Anderson's catch with 2 on and 2 out, Steve.
The concentration in the guy's face right there. I don't like guys to slide like that when they're making a play, but Kenny Hill does. Any way to catch it. I'm kind of one of those guys that says either dive for it headlong or make a shoestring catch. To me, when you slide and make a catch like that, you're actually pulling yourself away from the ball. It takes a lot longer to get there, and I think it's a bad play. But you see a lot of guys doing it these days.
Did he catch it?
He did catch it. You see a lot of guys miss them that way, though.
Amen. Swing and a miss by Dave Hollins. This is the man who broke the scoreless duel between David Wells and Ken Hill in the 4th inning. A solo home run on an 0-2 pitch. Wells chose to go fastball, and it was right down Broadway. And Hollins did not miss. Goes after the high fastball. Ground ball, Jeter. And 1 out.
That pitch was the pitch that Wells would much rather have thrown, the ball that was higher in the zone. They've been trying to do that to Hollins all night. Keep the ball up in the zone, get in on his hands, and then go out away from him up in the zone.
Hey, Steve, did you just notice what song they played with Tim Salmon, whose nickname is Fish, came to the plate? The theme from Jaws. Foul back.
How does he get the nickname Fish, which happens to be my youngest daughter Corey's nickname? Don't ask me why, it just is. But how does he get it?
Tim Salmon.
Well, aside from that, I mean, that's the most obvious one. I got to think there's another story back there.
No, it's the name. And if he can hit one into the outfield extravaganza, it would be salmon swimming upstream.
Upstream. I don't know. Guys used to be a little more creative when I played. Can't call the guy Fish because his last name's Salmon. I was looking for a better story out of you.
Nope. Wells with the 0-2 to Salmon, and swing and a miss as he came hard up and in, and Tim Salmon strikes out. FX Baseball Saturday night premieres on FX Saturday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific. Mo Vaughn and the Boston Red Sox meet Junior and the Mariners. Boston at Seattle. Don't miss Major League action on FX Baseball Saturday night. Steve Physioc, Steve Lyons with you on Baseball Thursday on Fox Sports Net. Cecil Fielder steps to the plate. Fielder takes a breaking ball. Ball 1. Cecil walked, scored a run in the Angels' 3-run 4th inning.
Call Sess Little Daddy now that he lost 35 pounds.
Yeah, he's still Big Daddy.
He
likes that
guy.
nickname.
Wow.
Ooh, boy, he was going for the downs in that offering. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lost 45 pounds. And Terry Collins was during the tour in the offseason, and he was asked about that, and he said, hey, he's lost 45 pounds. Do you think he's hungry? He says, I want a hungry player. Fastball stays high. 2 balls, 1 strike to Cecil Fielder.
Cecil's still a pretty big guy. I joking with him before the game. I said, you know, losing 45 pounds is like throwing a suitcase off the Queen Mary.
Oh, and man, did he get into you. Look at the shifts. 3 on the left side. They did this defense last night in their first game against the New York Yankees, and like Ted Williams used to do on the Boudreaux ship that they used to do against the Boston Red Sox in the 1940s, he hit through it, singled to left field.
Cecil's generally a pull hitter. They bring everybody over there. Ted Williams used to say, it's all right, shift them over there. They can't play high enough. Pretty tough to catch balls that land in the seats.
But Cecil is pretty good going to right field. Remember that home run he hit in the World Series against the Atlanta Braves? He had 30 hits last year, as a matter of fact, to right field. Wells with the 3-2. Walked him for the second time. A man with a pretty good strike zone. Been on base 4 times against his old teammates, the New York Yankees, and boy, David Wells is unhappy with that last pitch. Second walk by David Wells in this game, and that brings up Garrett Anderson, who is a tough man to pitch to.
Now there you see the hits by direction for Anderson. Quite a few more to right field, but anytime you can go almost 60 times the opposite way. Talked about his ability to hit the high pitch, fight off a lot of high pitches to left field. It's always nice to come to the plate after you've made a great defensive play. The adrenaline starts to flow again.
Rips it up the middle. Fielder will stop at second base, and the Angels with a rally with 2 on, 2 out in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Anderson does a great job of keeping his hands back. You see him get out in front with his body a little bit fooled on the pitch out in front of it, but able to keep those hands back. You can still keep your power, and you can drive the ball up the middle and drive the ball to all fields if your hands are back. If you bring your hands with you, with the weight, you're in trouble. You lose all your power. A lot of times you lose the ability to just make contact with the ball.
So Anderson with a pair of hits, and now the batter Phil Nevin doubled in 2 runs his last at bat on a breaking ball that hung over the middle of the plate, and he wrapped it into the alley and left. And he goes after a fastball up. It is popped up. Girardi does not have a chance. It's strike 1 to Phil.
Not a lot of foul territory in this ballpark. The hitters like that. It's not like playing in Oakland. There's a ton of room behind the plate. You see the area right here around the plate. That's not too bad. It even gets better for a hitter as you go down the lines. You run out of room awfully quick in this stadium if you're third baseman chasing a foul ball.
Fastball, nice location, popped up again. No play for Martinez.
A lot of stadiums right there. That is a foul out. First baseman runs over and catches it. Oakland's a great example. Hitters love the fact that you can foul balls off and still stand up there and hit.
Well, they had to make it fair. I mean, they made the power alleys rather deep, helping the pitchers.
That's right. 100 pitches now for David Wells. The other good thing about it is it brings the fans closer to the game.
Just barely got it. Fouled it off the end of his bat. Meantime, Kent Hill has thrown 102 pitches, maybe coming out. 6 innings of shutout baseball, struck out 3, walked 4, but Rich DeLucia continues to warm up in the Angels bullpen. No balls, 2 strikes to Nevin, 2 on. Fielder second base, Anderson first base. And he got it up enough out of the hitting zone.
I let Kenny Hill come back out and pitch the 7th. If he gets into a little bit of trouble, then I make a move, but hasn't given up a run yet.
But he may have told Marcel Latchman that he is done. I mean, DeLucia has been throwing this entire inning down in the Angels bullpen.
It's usually a pretty good sign that he's coming in if he sits down, but
real good pitch by Wells, went away with the fastball with a little fade on it and strikes out Nevin. The Angels are down in the 6th. We go to the 7th. Ken Hill is staying now for a Fox Sports Net game break. It's the Tigers and the Devil Rays, a 1-1 ball game in the 7th inning, but Matt DeFelice with a bases loaded triple. Tampa goes on to win 7-1 the final score, and the Devil Rays are 2-1. Angels meantime with 6 hits, 3 runs. Yankees 0-5-0, and they had just 1 run last night. And a new pitcher comes out of the bullpen for the Angels, and that is Rich DeLucia.
DeLucia's done a nice job for this club. Terry Collins talking about him before the game started. They has a lot of confidence in him. A lot of questions still about Mike James and his ability to set up. Didn't have a good spring.
Well, DeLucia had a great spring with a 1-1 record and an 0.71 earned run average. And this is a guy who was coming off a terrific year last year and then underwent surgery to remove an aneurysm of the mid-deltoid in his right arm. Injury and surgery that was very similar to what David Cone had 2 seasons ago. Rich's was not as serious, and that is why he has rebounded so quickly and pitched so well.
It's a scary situation. One of the things that this guy does, he's able to get a strikeout when he needs one, and he throws strikes, goes right after hitters.
He's got a breaking ball, a fastball that he can get up near 90 miles an hour, and also a split-fingered fastball. He has Scott Brosius, then Joe Girardi, then the top of the order. And there is a strike, 1 and 2, and he's been coming with the gas. Fastball, then breaking ball, fastball. The 2 fastballs have been the strikes.
Good time to go to that splitter, try to get someone to chase something.
No, fastball barely missing that outside corner. Meantime, the Angels are not quiet in their bullpen as warming up for the Angels. Mike Holtz, the left-hander. The right-hander is Mike James. He was hoping Brosius would chase. He does not, and the count is full, 3-2. And boy, DeLucia was throwing pitches right on the black, and Brosius was patient enough to hold. Girardi will be next.
Tough to lay off a pitch like that when you have 2 strikes.
So he misses, coming back inside, ball 4. The 5th walk by Angel pitchers tonight, and that's the last thing Terry Collins wanted to see. DeLucia coming out of the pen and walking the leadoff man, the number 8 hitter.
From a managing point of view, when you get to a 2-2 count, you have to throw that pitch as the pitch that you're either going to get a called strike or you're going to get someone to swing at. Because if you miss, then you have to come back 3-2. If you miss, you walk the guy, and if you give him too good a pitch at that point, the guy's going to hammer it.
He goes corner again, missing. 1 ball, no strikes. Now Nevin goes out to visit with DeLucia. Well, the Angels have pulled 2 double plays in this game at critical times to end the 1st inning. Peter may have forgotten the number of outs, and he was doubled easily off second base. And then later in the 3rd inning, a looper liner towards center. Norberto Martin ran it down as Chuck Knobloch was trying to steal second base, and Martin easily threw out Knobloch, who tried to return to first. David Wells still is in this game, having gone 6 innings, giving up 3 runs and 6 hits.
Those 3 runs all in the 4th. We talk about concentration lapses. It certainly came down to one of those in the 4th inning, and that's the difference in the game.
Pop foul out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. DeLucia to Girardi. See, every time he gets a foul ball, you either get a kiss or a hug here at the ballpark.
That's right. From some Yankee fans.
There. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The scoreboard operator had already put 2 and 1, thinking that was up and in.
So did Girardi. He's thinking, I better get that call when I'm sitting back here, I'll tell you that.
But David Wells has been getting that call tonight. He's been calling it right around the bottom of the letters.
It's been a liberal strike zone, nothing wrong with that.
Came inside, almost hit Girardi. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You got to go up there hacking. If you're an umpire with a reputation that you're going to call strikes, a lot of people have been talking about speeding up the game of baseball, which I personally think is ridiculous, but one way to do it is go up there swinging as a hitter, and if the umpire has a reputation of a guy who's going to call a lot of strikes, that speeds things up.
Girardi fights it off into the seats. 2 balls and 2 strikes. But if you call a strike zone, and I'm talking about knees to letters, which is the strike zone, guys aren't going to be going to the plate with the bat waiting. Okay, I'm going to wait for my pitch.
Right, they're going to have to swing the bat. After some initial confrontations, when you start seeing high strikes being called and guys arguing about it a little bit more, it's just tough to get the umpires to try to change the strike zone after doing what they've done for a long time. It'd be like asking Roger Clemens to change the grip on his fastball.
Girardi to right field. Salmon should have this one, and does. 1 out.
I don't tend to see a lot of people that would call themselves a great baseball fan worrying about the length of the game. Sometimes, yes, the games can get long, but that's usually a bad baseball game. You see a good game, you see a few runs scored, you see some great plays. I mean, today's society doesn't relax enough. Come out to a ball game, have some popcorn, a couple pops, and hang out with your friends or your family and enjoy yourself. Slow down. That's what it's all about.
You know, that's a good point. It was always talked about father and sons growing up watching baseball. You have a chance to watch the game and also talk about what happened during the day, what happened at school.
And if you get to the point when you think the game is a little bit too long, you have the right to leave. You can go home if you want. For the rest of us, I want to stay.
Fight like Clutch is doing.
With the
stay here. You can't leave.
He's trying to stay warm.
I think he's warm enough, don't you? Again, DeLucia coming up and in to Chuck Knobloch. That evens the count at 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out. We're in the 7th inning, a 3-0 ball game. The Angels lead as all 3 runs came home for Anaheim in the 4th inning, just like last night when they beat the Yanks 4-1. Knobloch calls time. I mean, this is a great Yankees team, the one that won in '96 the World Championship. Actually was better in '97, but they ran into the Indians in the division series. 2 balls and 1 strike. Last year's numbers were actually better than the '96 World Championship team. Scored more runs. The ERA was almost a full run lower, but the Yanks last year did not have that panache of '96 with Derek Jeter's brilliant play, Rookie of the Year season. David Cohn's come back from an aneurysm. Jeffrey Mayer making that tremendous catch to Rob Tarasco of catching a
that changed the face of the World Series without a doubt. Here's a guy who's really going to help out, though. We talked about the murderer's row type offense starting right at the top of the lineup. Not too many guys better than that guy right there, Chuck Knobloch, with the steals, his ability to hit, his Gold Glove defense, his leadership on a team. And he's happy to be in a spot where he thinks that he has a chance to win. And not a whole lot of questions on this Yankee team.
Fastball right there. He was jumping away trying to buy the inside pitch. But Larry McCoy said no, it's 3-2. And Chuck Knobloch in his career just 3 hits in 11 at bats, 1 triple and 1 home run.
Knobloch doesn't care how many strikes is on him as long as it's not 3. He doesn't mind at all hitting with a 3-2 count.
Fastball, base hit left field. Racing around to third is Scott Brosius. Knobloch stays at first. You know, when George Steinbrenner went to David Cohn in the offseason, was in the clubhouse, he said, "What do we need to win?" And he said one word, Knobloch. And they got it.
There's the reason right there. 3-2, that small strike zone. Can't afford to walk him, so what do you have to do? You have to throw a strike. This kid can hit strikes. Brosius, excellent base running. Never hesitated around second base. All the way into third.
And now the power comes to the plate. Derek Jeter, then Paul O'Neill, then Bernie Williams. Knobloch could be going at any moment. He does not, and the pitch is ball 1. Jeter tonight is 1 for 3, singled in the first, stole a base, struck out looking in the third, fly to right to end the 5th inning with a man on base. One ball, 1 strike.
I wonder why Derek Jeter's the talk of the town in New York. Look at his spray chart. Very, very consistent, uses the entire field. Talked about already how he made the adjustment to pitchers throwing away from him all the time. Now his worry is that they're going to try to bury him inside with Knobloch hitting in front of him. He's going to see a lot more fastballs. They're not just going to leave him out over the plate. They're going to try to get in on him. Much more conscious this year in the offseason and in spring training, working on hitting that pitch. I don't think Knobloch will go anywhere in this current situation. Give Jeter a chance to hit, and you're down 3 runs. Later in the game now. Nowhere to go. With his speed, he can score from first on a gapper, but if you get thrown out stealing second base, now there's 2 outs and just 1 guy on.
Blocked nicely by Nevin, keeps it in front of him, and the count 2 balls, 1 strike. Wasn't Phil telling you before the game that when he's blocking balls, he doesn't want to be like a third baseman. He wants to be like a catcher, throws his body in front of that ball to keep it in front.
Right, that's the theory. He says sometimes I revert back to my old ways and try to pick everything.
Way inside, and Knobloch going, and he will steal second base easily, and the count is 3-1 to Derek Jeter. 1 pitch away of putting the tying runs on base with O'Neill and Williams to follow.
See that fastball just running way inside on Jeter. Good pitch to run on because Jeter is jumping out of the way, but staying in Nevin's way. Nevin didn't even have a chance to throw.
Two in scoring position with 1 out. That ball hit high in the air, deep left field. Garrett Anderson back at the warning track. Brosius will tag and come home. Knobloch to third, and he is safe. But Chuck was really taking a chance, Steve. Why with 2 outs?
I think Jeter thought he got a little bit more of this ball than he did. Watch the ball in. This is the pitch that we were talking about, the fastball in. Just in off the label a little bit. He's blowing on it right now, trying to give it some help over that left field wall. Didn't quite get it all. Knobloch going to third on this play. Very, very risky in their situation. Down 3 runs. Brosius scores on the sacrifice fly, but moving up to third base, the old Cardinal sin, never making the 3rd out at third. When you make it, it's aggressive baseball. When you don't, it's a bad play.
Well, DeLucia's evening is over. Terry Collins threw Mike Holtz for a full inning last night, and he said, I will throw him again tonight to face 1 batter. And he's coming up right now in Paul O'Neill. I'm trying to hold on to their 3-1 lead in the top of the 7th inning. Rich DeLucia started the inning, and now the Angels give way to a talented young left-hander in Mike Holtz.
Well, they love this guy, especially to come in and, as you mentioned, get one left-hander out. A lot of guys on teams specialize and do that job. I think he can do a little bit more than that, and will as time goes on. The reason he's so tough against lefties is obviously, number one, he's left-handed, but he's a slinger. He throws the ball across his body, and he's got a pretty good jump on his fastball. He can get it up to 90 miles an hour, and he's got a great breaking ball.
And Paul O'Neill kills right-handed pitching. 346, 17 bombs last year against righties. DeLucia righty. He is gone to the dugout. And now Paul O'Neill takes strike one. That's just one of them. He has that slurve that he'll wander away from a lefty. Then he has the 12-6 that goes straight down. And he's got a hard curveball as well. Popped him up. This should end it. Gary DiSarcina makes the catch, and the Angels give up just one run in the 7th inning and hold on to a 3-1 lead over the Yankees. As we head to the bottom of the 7th inning with the score 3-1, let's take a look at what's coming your way tonight on Fox Sports News following our game. For that, we take you to the Fox Baseball Thursday on Fox Sports Net. Steve Biziak, Steve Lyons with you in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Angels with a 3-1 lead on the Yankees, all 3 runs in the 4th inning. The Yankees just rallied for 1 in the 7th. So on comes right-hander Jeff Nelson for New York.
You see how many appearances Jeff Nelson had last year. 77. Nice ERA of 2.86. This guy throws almost nothing but sliders. Slider after slider after slider. Occasional fastball to keep you off balance. Then he's going to go right back to his bread and butter, that slider. He slings it a little bit too, throws it across his body, drops down on the right-handers, and it's really tough to hit that pitch when you're a right-handed hitter.
New York really does have an excellent bullpen. Stanton from the left side, Nelson from the right side, setting up Mariano Rivera. The year the Yankees won the World Championship, Rivera was setting up John Wetland, and Wetland, of course, was the most valuable player with 4 saves.
4 saves in the World Series. Every game they won, he nailed it down. And, you know, that's really the only question for the New York Yankees is, as you see Chuck Finley, last night's winner, with the new do, he's certainly gone California. And
good old boy from Louisiana.
Guy's such a good-looking guy, he can't do anything to mess himself up.
Well, he's 6'6", but Jeff Nelson would jump center at 6 feet 8 inches tall if they played on the same basketball team. Nelson 6'8", 235 from Baltimore, Maryland.
If there's a question on this Yankees staff, it's in their number 4 and 5 pitchers, how well Irabu will come back and do. Mariano Rivera certainly knows what he's doing when you get him the ball. Ramiro Mendoza, there is Irabu. Mendoza has never started as many games as they'd like him to start this year as a number 4 or 5 guy. And other than that, maybe left field and third base, a little bit of a question. They're really counting on Strawberry to do the job, and Scott Brosius is going to catch the ball even if he doesn't hit it.
Yeah, I think their offense is set, but they are not deep if anyone goes down of their starting 5. I mean, they've got the 1-2-3 of Wells, Cone, and Pettit combined. 46 wins last year, but Cone, you know, has thrown a lot of innings in his career. He's now 35 years of age. David Wells is 34, going to be 35 in May.
Cone's the kind of guy who, you know, even last year he pitched hurt. You know, he pitches with his guts more than he does with his arm anymore. He's still got great stuff, but he's a guy who now, at an advanced age and a history of arm problems, is a guy who can go down any time.
There's a chopper down the foul side on the first base side, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes to Norberto Martin.
So there are some questions, but very few. I mean, you want to take your chances on a team that you'd like to go to the World Series. This is certainly one of them.
But you wonder, of all the talent that they have traded away to other ball clubs to acquire people, well, they've taken their chances. And, you know, New York really had a shot at Pedro Martinez instead of Irabu if they had packaged Ruben Rivera, Medina, maybe Tony Armas,
right,
to Montreal. Meantime, an American League East competitor gets him in the Boston Red Sox, and Martinez throws 7 shutout innings in his debut and strikes out 11.
He's going to get his wins in Boston. Boston's in a worse situation than the Yankees as far as I'm concerned. As far as after Martinez, you have a lot of pitching problems. They're always going to hit the ball as usual.
Martin with a ground ball. Chuck Knobloch. 1 out.
Boston still trying to grasp that theory of pitching and defense. They always knock the walls down, but can lose a lot of 10-9 games.
And they allow Roger Clemens to go to Toronto, and here Clemens comes back and is absolutely unbelievable, winning the Cy Young.
Won his first start already for the Blue Jays.
I thought he would retire a Red Sox. But you can't always stay with the same team forever. Wasn't it after 7 years when you went from the White Sox to the Red Sox? You said, I think a guy every 7 years should change his socks.
Fortunately for me, I was a free agent a lot of times when I didn't want to be.
That's because you had those smelly socks. Outside corner at the knees, a ball, a strike to Gary DiSarcina. Angels again scoring their 3 runs in the 4th inning on a solo home run by Dave Hollins and a 2-run double by Phil Nevin. New York countering in the 7th. Now DiSarcina trying to slap one into the alley. Long run for Bernie Williams and Darryl Strawberry, and it's off Strawberry's glove. Desar to second. He'll make 3rd easily.
Well, Steve, this is the same play that we saw earlier in the ball game. And while we were in a commercial break, me and you kind of questioned the fact that Strawberry actually goes in front of the center fielder. Play like that, you'd just soon have your center fielder catch the ball and have your left fielder back up the play.
And now DiSarcina at 3rd base, a mighty important run to give the Angels a 3-run lead again. Darryl Strawberry, career games in left field. They have scored it a triple for Gary DiSarcina. And Joe Torre has brought his infield in. He wants to play at the plate against the dangerous Darren Erstad. Erstad is 0 for 3. Grounding out, flying out twice. Once on a marvelous catch by Darryl Strawberry. And that ball ripped down the right field line, and it is a fair ball. It will score Gary DiSarcina. It is a ground rule double, and the Angels have a 4-1 lead on New York.
Both DiSarcina and Darren Erstad hitting sliders. Both sliders that didn't break quite as tight and left out over the plate. That's a beautiful swing right there. Great balance. Hooks this ball down into the corner. Just stays fair. And you get the fan interference. Look at the break of the slider. Look at the way Erstad goes down and digs that ball out.
So speed at second base in Erstad. Power at home plate in Jim Edmonds. And he is due 0 for 7 to start this season.
He knows what he's going to see.
Slider.
I mentioned before, Jeff Nelson has had tremendous success throwing that pitch. Not going to go away from it. He does throw a fastball up there, kind of a tailing, sinking fastball. Loves the slider. You know you're going to see it. Throws a good enough one to get away with it most of the time.
Well, an important 1-out triple by that man, Gary DiSarcina. And then Erstad rips a double down the right field line to plate DiSarcina, giving the Angels a 3-run lead. There's a ground ball, base hit up the middle. Here comes Erstad. Williams will bring the throw to the infield, and it's Anaheim 5, New York 1. Well, at one time this was a scoreless game. We went to the 4th inning, and Dave Hollins came to the plate with 1 out. Erstad scoring on the single by Jim Edmonds to make it 5-1. But at one time, Wells and Hill were really in a fine pitching duel. Hollins had the count the pitcher's way, no balls and 2 strikes. And Steve, look at this.
That's stealing candy right there. 0-2 pitch right down the middle, and he hammered it.
Well over 400 feet to left center field. Hollins 2 for 5 this year against New York, and the first ever home run at Edison International Field of Anaheim. Edmonds was going, and Hollins fouls it off his shin. What is it about shins?
They hurt when you hit them.
You know, I think the definition of a shin is it's a device used to find furniture late at night.
Yes, you do.
It's dark and it's always
a lot of foul balls find them too.
Exactly.
And as we mentioned, with as many sliders as Nelson throws, you're going to foul a lot of balls off your feet. You know, people watch games and they say, I'm not sure what a slider is. Just watch Nelson pitch. You'll see bunches of them.
Nelson has been hit hard. He came on in relief of David Wells, who gave up 3 runs in 6 innings, but in a third, well, Nelson has been wrapped around. Hollins fouls it off. He's behind the count, 0-2. He has better power right side than he does this side.
Yeah, he does. He's more of a gap power guy from the left side. He's got better power. He's naturally a right-handed hitter. And I don't see any reason for the Angels to be any less aggressive. Nelson is also a guy that I call a leaner. He'll go into his stretch and then he leans towards home plate for a long time before he actually delivers the ball. That gives an opportunity to get a great jump at first.
Edmonds does not go, and Nelson misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Edmonds went earlier on an 0-1 count. Stottlemyre, Torrey visiting as Yankees lost last night 4-1. They're down 5-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning here.
Nelson didn't give much of a pause on that last pitch.
That time he had Edmonds leaning back towards first base, and Dave Hollins takes a strike 3.
That was a sinking fastball that he started in off the plate to Hollins and made it come right back out over the plate. Tough pitch to hit.
So Tim Salmon comes to the plate. Tell us about his hot zone.
Let's explain the hot zone. Here you see the blue marks here. Those where he doesn't like the ball. For as great a hitter as he is, you'd think more of these would be red. These are the red ones. Likes the ball right out over the middle plate, middle in occasionally, and he'll hammer those pitches. A lot of pitches that he doesn't like to hit, so he's a very selective hitter.
Well, here's a guy who hit 296 last year. 33 home runs. Drove in 129.
I think a few of those little squares would be red, huh?
I think a lot of them would be red.
You know, it's okay for a hitter not to handle certain pitches as long as you're smart enough not to swing at those.
Well, there's that low outside pitch that was in the blue zone.
Nasty, tough pitch right there, and he just spit on it.
Take it, or he'll throw it again. Salmon does, and the count 1 ball, no strikes. Edmonds at first base. The Angels have already scored 2 runs in this 7th inning.
Once again, a pretty good time to be aggressive on the bases. See if you can see what I talked about with Jeff Nelson leaning towards home plate.
Salmon went around. A ball, a strike. Well, that really bit back in on him. Thought he could get a handle on it. Tied him up.
Nelson's being a little bit more of an effective pitcher in the last 2 hitters by mixing up his pitches and throwing a few more fastballs than he likes to. Guys start sitting on that slider and they can hit it. They're looking for it.
Popped up. Shallow center field. Jeter drifting out. Makes the catch, but the damage has been done. A triple by DiSarcina, a double by Erstad, a single by Edmonds to score, and the Angels lead is 4. But his job to score runs, and the guys behind him have not been able to do that. And right now Mike Holtz staying in the game to face tough hitters Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, and Chili Davis. So Terry Collins will try and stretch one more inning from his left-hander who went a full frame last night. Got out of a tough jam in the last inning by getting Paul O'Neill on a pop-up. The tying runs on base.
It's interesting to see here that Collins does not go to Mike James in this situation, which would be his situation to pitch.
Nevin up quickly. Got him. Nice play by Phil Nevin.
Now you have to be impressed with the way that this kid's played behind the plate. This is his 7th major league game behind the plate. Watch the athleticism. This is being an old third baseman. Get the mask off, get out there, and then show off your gun a little bit.
Boy, did he ever.
Got it. Look how quickly he releases the ball. A lot of guys have a bad habit of picking up the ball and tapping their glove with it before they release it. Picked it up and let it ride.
Nevin right now has to be given an A+. He has no pass balls. He has just been excellent behind the plate, calling the game for Kent Hill, and also has a 2-run double. Matt Walbeck was the MVP of the game last night as he threw out 2 runners, also had a couple of hits and 2 RBIs. So the Angel catcher is doing quite nicely with Todd Green still on the shelf.
Very, very impressive back there. He's looked very smooth. Talked to Mark Hill, who's an old hitting instructor in the White Sox, or catching instructor in the White Sox organization. He said the biggest thing you have to worry about being a catcher is just catching the ball. Just make the pitcher look good. Catch the ball easy. Have soft hands back there. Make the pitcher look like everything he throws isn't like that one. You know, no big deal. Nobody's on base. He got caught turning his glove the wrong way that time. He's even laughing about it.
Well, Joe Madden, who is one of the coaches for the Angels, said one of the challenges that he faces is catching the ball to his left. As you said, he doesn't turn his glove over.
Right.
He'll keep it up and go down with it with the heel going to the ground first. There's Joe Madden.
You have the tendency to want to backhand everything, and when you see a breaking ball from a left-hander, the natural thing to do is to try to backhand it, but the easy thing to do is just drop your hand to the left and let the ball come into your glove.
Great curveball by Holtz. Martinez knew it and just walks back to the dugout.
Watch Nevin even backhand this ball right here. It's a breaking ball. Watch him backhand it. He should turn his hand the other way. Backhand right there instead of turning the other way and letting the ball just glide right into the glove. It's a very hard adjustment to make, especially when you're a guy who's only caught 7 games in the big league. It's an amazing story how well he's done back there.
Now Tim Raines pinch hitting for Chili Davis. They'll go with the right-hander Raines, and if he gets on, Darryl Strawberry. But Holtz right now doing an excellent job, and we will likely see Troy Percival in the 9th inning for these Angels. Ground ball short. DiSarcina. And Holtz with a marvelous job tonight, coming on to close out trouble in the 7th and getting the Yankees 1-2-3 in the 8th. Yankees 1. 5-9-0 for Anaheim. 1-6-0 as the Yankees, one of the great offensive teams in baseball in 1997, have only scored 2 runs in 17 innings against Anaheim. And the new pitcher is Willie Banks, a former #1 pick.
Willie Banks is a guy that they're going to count on to come in and throw some innings for him. He's probably going to get a chance to spot start as the year goes on, do some long relief for them. Hard thrower, low 90s, big curveball. One of the all-time great stats for Willie Banks. In 1995, he played for 3 different teams, but only had 2 wins. So he had more teams than he had wins. He was 2-3 on the season, but got to play for 3 different ball clubs. He's happy that 95 came and went.
Cubs, Dodgers, and Florida.
That's right.
Started out with the Minnesota Twins when he was drafted first in 1987 out of St. Anthony's High School in New Jersey. He's a great baseball and basketball star through 3 no-hitters. And there's a Yankee fan who's been rather glum. Meantime, the Halos have been smiling. A win last night, 4-1, a 5-1 lead. They take to the bottom of the 8th, and Cecil Fielder comes to the plate. He's been on twice, walking and scoring on that double by Phil Nevin in the 4th inning. You know, somebody is going to let the cows get out of the barn.
That's right. Maybe they should close that door now that we're ready to play again. Now, this park's so pretty they don't even notice that the door is open, I guess.
And it's got a little latch to lock it on the other side. Marcel Latchman. Willie Banks has the count even, 1 ball, 1 strike to Cecil Fielder.
You know, Cecil could hit a ball in that gap, roll it up the wall, through the fence, and then they could close the door. Still wouldn't be an inside the park homer.
You know, you have been on Cecil all evening.
I love Cecil. I'll tell you what, this guy can crank him. Tough year for him last year with that broken thumb.
There's a line drive base hit to right field. Cecil is on for the 3rd time, a pair of walks and a base hit.
We talked earlier in the game about Cecil's ability to go the other way. There it is right there when the ball rides in on him. He's gone the other way a lot better in his career later in his career. I kind of think it's a mistake. He has a big swing, and I think when the ball beats him a little bit, his swing through the hitting zone forces him to hit the ball the other way. But I think he really tries to pull the ball more than anything else. He wants to hit the ball up in the trees. That's what he's paid to do. And when he goes the other way, it's generally when the ball beats him, but he still puts a pretty good swing on it, and he just slaps it over there to right field.
Well, making his appearance for the first time as an Anaheim Angel is Carlos Garcia, who played last year with the Toronto Blue Jays and had some great years with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in this spring training, he was with the Cleveland Indians until his release. There's Garcia, very good speed. Played for Terry Collins in the minor leagues.
I have no idea how his fall from grace has happened so quickly.
Ground ball, base hit right field. Garcia turns second. He'll make 3rd easily. Well, stay with us, because on Fox Sports News after this ball game, we've got all the scores and highlights from around the major leagues and the NBA. Fox hunts the Lakers. Mark McGwire keeps sizzling. Did he bomb the Dodgers again? And Jerry Tarkanian's settlement is done. We'll have those stories. And again, scores and highlights from around the major leagues and NBA after tonight's game. Here is Phil Nevin. Already with an excellent defensive game. He also has a 2-run double. 1 for 3 in the game. Yankees pull their infield in. Nevin hits a ground ball 3rd. Whoa. They go for home and safe. Garcia broke late. What was Brocious thinking? I thought he had a double play in order.
There's nobody covering second base.
Unbelievable.
Because of the way the defense was set up, Knobloch was late getting to second base. Brocious panicked a little bit. This is a hard shot. Watch Garcia hold his ground. There you see Garcia now, after he throws to second or to first base, Garcia's off to the races. That's a great base running play by Garcia. Watch him hold his ground at first. Now when Brocious, he wants to throw to second, but nobody's covering the base. Now he goes to first. Garcia's off right at that point. Great base running. Tino can't get the ball back in time.
And it is 6-1 Anaheim, a 5-run lead that they will take into the 9th inning at least, possibly more. Stepping to the plate is Norberto Martin. Martin 0 for 3. Garrett Anderson in scoring position at second base. And there's a chopper. Should Brosius have then looked Garcia back before making that throw to first base?
You know what I think happened is once he looked over at second and saw nobody covering, he did panic a little bit. You tend to forget that there's a guy on third base. You go over to first to get the out, but Garcia, as you see him on the bench right there catching some wind, great base running move by taking off as quickly as he did.
Martin hammers it to left field, base hit. Anderson, they're going to send him. They're challenging the arm of Strawberry, and Anderson's safe.
This game is so much fun to play when you have the advantage of the lead. You can take a chance like Garcia did. You can run on guys' arms because it's not a big deal if you get thrown out. You play good, hard, aggressive baseball. You make things happen for yourself. Look at this pitch. That ball's over his head. Good jump on the ball, coming around third. Good turn and no hesitation at all.
But how aggressive is Larry Bowa? He's a great third base coach. Knew right away the strength of Strawberry's arm, because normally that's a ball where you hold the runner at third base. He just sent Anderson home as soon as the ball was hit to left field.
I love aggressive third base coaches. I like players on my team that come around third base expecting to score, not expecting to be held up.
Ground ball, first base, Tino Martinez, and he bobbles. DeSarcina is out.
It's a rare bobble by Tino Martinez down there. He had a little trouble getting it out of his glove. He just flipped it out of there. Keeps his composure and makes a good strong throw. That's a great call by the umpire too. Tough play at first, tough call to make. Little bobble there. Banks gets to the base, does a good job.
You're right, Steve, because Banks did a great job. Because a lot of guys are slow in getting over. It allowed him to stretch to get the ball from Tino.
Yeah, not only did he get to the base there, but he stayed on the base and stretched like a first baseman. It looked like he twisted his ankle on the step before he actually got to the base.
Now Erstad comes up. He doubled in a run his last at bat and scored on the single by Jim Edmonds. Erstad 1 for 4, 2 for 9 on the year. Single to drive in a run in yesterday's 4-1 Angels triumph. 2 balls, no strikes. Well, Anaheim now up 7-1. They've gone offensive crazy in the 7th and 8th inning. And that means that Troy Percival likely will not be coming out for the 9th inning. Mike James will likely be the Angels pitcher in the 9th. Strike.
Great time to get Mike James into the game. He's had a tough spring. They worried a little bit about his confidence and the way his ball's not been moving. It's straightened out on him a little bit. He needs that movement to be an effective pitcher. Get him in a game like this, 7-1, maybe 8-1 by the time he gets in. Get his confidence going again.
Ground ball in the hole. That's a base hit. Martin will score. It is 8-1 Angels.
Derek Jeter hobbling up a little bit. I can tell you why that this Yankee team is going to be a good team. When you see a situation in the 8th inning and it's 8-1, it'd be easy to pack it in, but you saw the way Jeter went after that ball very aggressively, dove for it, did everything he could to stop it. If he would have gloved that ball, he would have come up firing. No quit in this team.
And the Angels with 13 hits now, 4 in this inning, 3 in the 7th inning. They have all their hits in 3 innings. Well, with the there are singles by Anderson and DeSarcina in the 2nd and 3rd, but they have really bunched those hits together to contribute to their 8 runs in the game. Jim Edmonds, and see you later. classic power swing, Steve.
I'll tell you what, he didn't even get all that. He pulled off of that ball just a little bit. He still hammered it deep into the stands. Very short stride once again, but definitely a little bit more of a stride than he was using against the left-handers.
And Jim Edmonds with a 2-run home run, his first of the year. The Angels with 2 in the game. The first by Dave Hollins, who is now at the plate. And Hollins with a ground ball. Brocious has it. Nice play, and the long throw gets Hollins by a step. And finally, this 8th inning is over. Jim Edmonds says, that's the way I got it, and he got it all. It's 10-1 Anaheim. An Angel explosion in the last 2 innings. The 7th and 8th. Anaheim has scored 7 runs to take a 10-1 lead on New York. Mike James comes out of the bullpen to try and close this game out. James has that hard sinker slider, and these were his numbers last year. He was forced into an early close role when Troy Percival started the year in the disabled list.
Did a little bit of everything for this team last year, and he's going to be a huge key to the success of this ball club, being able to set up Percival. This is a team that blew 27 saves last year, the most in the major leagues, and it mostly came from the setup position. It wasn't all James. A bunch of different guys got into the act there. They also had 44 come from behind wins. They'd like to have a lot less of those and be ahead in more games, and then shut down the saves that they can get. A couple of areas that this pitching staff really has to work on, and James is the key to that.
Well, coming up next, Fox Sports News with the NBA scores and highlights and Major League Baseball scores and highlights. Boston beat Oakland 6-3. Baltimore took Kansas City 4-3. Tampa Bay got their 2nd win. Toronto lost to Minnesota. Texas blasted Chicago as Juan Gonzalez hit a grand slam. You'll see that and the National League coming up on Fox Sports News. Strawberry high in the air, left field. Garrett Anderson, 1 out. The executive producers of Fox Sports Net are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. The New York Yankees at Anaheim Angels game was produced by Jim Zrake and directed by Doug Freeman. Head of field operations is Andrea Jenkins. Scott Brocious will come to the plate with 1 out in the 9th inning. James, that one got away.
Yeah.
Just a bit outside.
To say the least. Boy, he just hooked that pitch. Phil Nevin couldn't even get any leather on it. Look at that. Nevin can't even react quick enough to even get over there. I think that was close enough to be a strike.
Then he rattles one back inside, and it's 2 balls and no strikes to Scott Brocious. But the one thing that Terry Collins said, when he was working with Marcel Latchman, the pitching coach, he saw more movement on his pitches this week. He's got him back in rhythm again. Strike, 2-1. But it is such a fine game to see why your pitches don't have the finish, what you do to have to give them that little movement at the end as the ball approaches the strike zone.
A lot of it has to do with arm action and the way you grip the ball, and sometimes you just forget what got you there and try to overthrow. And as we've talked earlier in the evening about when you try to overthrow, a lot of times you do throw the ball harder, but it straightens out and it's a less effective pitch.
Another back to the screen, and James has thrown 2 to the screen, walking Scott Brocious after getting the first out.
And now, you know, if nobody goes and picks up that ball, I think the ball got stuck in the fence. Otherwise, Brocious could have gone to second base. James came all the way in from the mound.
Well, the Anaheim Angels will next take on the American League champion Cleveland Indians Friday through Sunday. Meantime, these New York Yankees, well, they will head to Oakland for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday's games against the A's, then 3 in Seattle. George Posada will come to the plate as a pinch hitter. 3 strikeouts in 3 at-bats. Ball 1. I mean, Cassius will tell you one of the hardest guys they have to catch of the Angels is Mike James because his ball moves so much.
It can be a bad thing at times. Sometimes you can't keep it in the strike zone, but right now Mike James is just hoping to get that movement back.
2 balls and no strikes. There is David Cone. He will go tomorrow night against the Oakland Athletics as the Yankees try for their first win, it appears, in 1998. They are down 10-1 to the Angels after losing last night 4-1. That's in there, 2-1. Brosius walked with 1 out. He's at first base. New York with a marvelous spring, winning 15 of their 27 games. You know how they hit the ball. The season started and they have 2 runs in 17 innings. This is the team that hit .315 in spring training. Joe Torre got everything right. I mean, he had Raines, Knobloch, Jeter all over 400. Tino Martinez hit 5 home runs in spring training, but starting the season it's something different.
They're not too worried about it. You see Pettit in the background having a nice little joke with Mel Stottlemyre. It's a long year.
It sure is.
Can't win them all.
Marathon. So James throws low. Posada is at first base. Back-to-back walks. Nevin comes out to try and get James' mind straight. All he has to do is throw the ball for strikes, let them hit the ball, and with a 9-run lead, when you give them a bunch of free passes, strange things can happen.
After James walked Brosius, DiSarcina, being the veteran player that he is, came in and said, look, throw a ground ball right here. We double them up, we all go home.
And here is Chuck Knobloch. He is 3 for 4 in the game. All 3 hit singles in the 3rd, 5th, and 7th. Strike 1. Well, the Yankee bats very quiet to start the 1998 season. A 196 team average in 2 games after hitting .315 in the spring. 10 singles of their 11 hits. 2 runs scored. Pitching staff earned run average is near 7.
That could have easily been my career numbers right there.
Not bad, Steve. Strike 2. Well, Phil Nevin, when had a conversation, said we're going to go back and put the strike zone in the middle plate. Your ball's moving so much, just throw it right at my glove.
That's all you do for a guy who relies on movement. Set up right down the middle of the plate, let the ball go where it's going to go.
And Knobloch rips it to center field, a base hit. Rounding third, coming home is Scott Brosius. It is 10-2 Anaheim. And Chuck Knobloch has 4 hits.
Terry Collins has done exactly what he should have done here. Bring Mike James into a game that's seemingly out of reach. Get his feet wet. Let him get a little confidence. And Mike James has spit the bit. He's not been able to do what he wanted to do. And anytime you're called on just to come in and mop up for 1 inning and you end up with the pitching coach out there talking to you, you know you've not done the job.
Meantime, as you started this game, Steve, you talked about the Angels know what they have in Anderson, Salmon, Edmonds, Erstad, Hollins, DiSarcina. These are guys who are going to carry this team offensively. But it's the other guys, the Martins, the Walbecks last night, the Phil Nevin tonight. What a marvelous job Phil Nevin has done catching Ken Hill and the entire Angel staff this evening.
Now it seems to me that the teams that win championships year in and year out are the teams that use 25 guys.
Omar Olivares has jumped up in the Angels bullpen. Mike James is very wild, giving up back-to-back walks and then a base hit to Chuck Knobloch. There's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Larry McCoy with a 10-2 lead. He's going to have a liberal strike zone. He wants to get out of here as well. he's going to give James the benefit of the doubt. 2 on, 1 out. Low, 2-1.
I know you spent a lot of time around this ball club, and that's not the face of confidence that we've seen on Mike James in the past.
Good pitch there. Ground ball. Erstad goes second. They have the force there. 2 outs. So Mike James 1 out away of nailing down this victory for the Angels. They won last night 4-1. They have a 10-2 lead after scoring 7 runs in the last 2 innings. They scored 3 in the 4th. Touched off by Dave Holland's solo home run, then the 2-run double by Phil Nevin. The Yankees came up with a run in the 7th and now in the 9th. But the Angels with 2 in the 7th inning and 5 in the 8th. Now Paul O'Neill, the batter, and O'Neill tonight has been on base twice, walking and doubling. O'Neill pops it up, foul territory. It will be out of play. If you look at this New York lineup and you know how strong they will be. You were talking about Bronx Bombers of 1998, and when you add Chuck Knobloch to this team, wow, they are so strong 1 through 6.
Knobloch with 4 hits tonight. His ability to steal bases. Jeter's going to be smiling all year long, getting the pitches that he's going to see behind Knobloch. O'Neill comes up after that. Bernie and Tino, they're just going to have guys on base all year long for him.
O'Neill tried to check his swing. Did he go around? The count is 1 ball, 2 strikes. So James has 1 more strike to finish this one off. Sweep the New York Yankees in their first series to open 1998 before they entertain the American League champion Cleveland Indians tomorrow through Sunday. 2-2. Finishes it off with a strikeout of the dangerous Paul O'Neill. The Angels win it 10-2 the final score. 2-7-0 for the Yankees. The Angels 10-14-0 as pitching and defense. Well, this Saturday on FX, you can watch a great matchup with the slugger Mo Vaughn and the Boston Red Sox and the Seattle Mariners. Then next Thursday on Fox Sports Net, it will be the Marlins and Phillies or the Astros and the Giants. Coming up next on Fox Sports News, all the scores and highlights from Major League Baseball and the NBA. For my partner Steve Lyons, I'm Steve Physiok saying so long from Edison International Field of Anaheim.